A week after the late court draft opinion showing conservative justices ready to overturn the Roe v. Wade ruling.
Now we know women's rights are at stake. So this vote is the first step. We are going to keep fighting.
But that procedural step will fail, likely several or more votes shy of the 60 needed to overcome a filibuster. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell doubts any federal abortion legislation could win a supermajority.
Fox's Jared Halpern, pro-choice activists, plan to protest outside justices' homes again today. Here's Fox's Marianne Rafferty.
Those walk-by Wednesday protests being organized by the group Ruth sent us, that's organized behind these demonstrations in the past. The White House and Democrats jumped to the defense of protesters they call peaceful outside of Supreme Court justices' homes, but Republicans are outraged.
They claim it's an attempt to intimidate. Now, here's something both parties agree on: more aid to Ukraine.
The yeas are 368, the nays are 57. The bill is passed.
The House sending the Senate that legislation to provide $40 billion in weapons and humanitarian assistance. A journalist was killed early this morning covering an Israeli raid in the West Bank. Shireen Abu Akleh, a U.S. citizen, worked for Al Jazeera, which blamed Israeli forces, but Israel claims she was hit by Palestinian gunfire. Gas prices hit a new record high this morning. AAA puts national average for regular at $4.40 per gallon.
Some of the roots of the inflation are outside of our control, to state the obvious.
President Biden blames COVID, supply chain issues, and Russia's invasion, says Republicans are not helping fight rising costs. They blame his policies. Now, next hour, we'll get the April inflation report that is going to show consumer prices rose again. They have been up recently at levels not seen in 40 years. America's listening to Fox News.
You know, every 3 seconds there is a new victim of identity theft. A criminal could be applying for loans in your name, selling your personal information on the dark web. Now, protecting your identity can be very easy thanks to LifeLock by Norton. No one company can prevent all identity theft or monitor every transaction of every business, but LifeLock, it's simple and easy to protect yourself, and you'll save up to 25% off your first year when you go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. Just use the promo code Hannity.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Rising home values mean that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about their smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 6:03. Robinson saves you time. 74, clear skies. It is going to be a warm one today in Columbia and mid-Missouri. Sunny, our high today around 92 degrees. Tonight, clear skies with a low near 70. We'll get the complete forecast from meteorologist John Ross here in a few moments. Good morning. Here are some of the stories we are working on for you on this Wednesday morning. We begin with the infant formula story. As state health officials are urging Missourians to refrain from hoarding infant formula. This is a nationwide shortage, impacts parents and caregivers. State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Paula Nicholson says the formula shortage began as a result of the COVID pandemic. She is recommending you feed your baby over 6 months old more baby food and less formula as well. We'll have more on this for you coming up at 6:30, and at 6:35 we'll have a live interview this morning with Missouri Congresswoman Hartzler. She serves on the House Agriculture Committee, and she'll weigh in on this important issue as well. Meantime, here in Boone County, fire district officials have not released the name of the elderly Sturgeon man killed in Tuesday's lawnmower crash near a creek. Assistant Fire Chief Gail Blomenkamp says the victim was apparently mowing near a creek when the mower overturned. Blomenkamp describes it as a zero-turn lawnmower. He says firefighters and EMS personnel treated the victim for about 30 minutes. The victim pronounced dead at the scene. Columbia police need your help in finding a murder suspect charged with killing a man early Sunday morning, the 800 block of Grand Avenue. Isaac Bryant charged with second-degree murder, the shooting death of Demetrius Ware. Bryant was paroled from prison in September. He served time for robbery and assault. As we speak right now, Columbia police on scene of an overnight shooting. A victim shot overnight about 1 o'clock in the morning on Clink Scales here in town. town. There's no word right now on the extent of the victim's injuries. ABC 17's Ben Fine has been on scene all night. He is reporting that police have put yellow tape up around that house. Also, they have been searching the area with flashlights overnight. A Southwest Missouri congressman who is seeking the Republican Senate nomination says he is appalled that a debate hasn't been scheduled yet. Springfield Congressman Billy Long says Missouri's GOP Senate primary is one of the nation's highest profile races.
Vicki just sure doesn't want me bringing up the fact that she's tied with Liz Cheney, dead even in 3 categories, including Freedom Works, where I'm 100%, and her and Liz Cheney are 60%.
Now, Liz Cheney is a congresswoman from the state of Wyoming. She is the daughter of the former Vice President Dick Cheney. That's who the congressman is referring to. Long spoke on 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia. 21 Republicans are on the August primary ballot, the GOP primary ballot in Missouri. The incumbent Senator Roy Blunt isn't seeking re-election. Missouri senior senator says speed is the #1 element to the Ukraine aid package. GOP Senator Roy Blunt spoke to reporters on Capitol Hill.
The Ukrainians need what they need as quickly as we can get them what they need.
And Senator Blunt spoke to Capitol reporters in Washington. He spoke along with the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell. The new Sorrells Overpass Bridge west of Columbia has opened. The Missouri Department of Transportation says it opened Tuesday morning. You'll recall the old bridge was struck by a truck in mid-October, caused significant damage, forcing MoDOT to demolish it. And Mizzou says it will plant legacy oaks on the Francis Quad, that's called the Quadrangle. They'll replace 15 pin oak trees they say now are a potential safety hazard for buildings and pedestrians. Mizzou says replacing these pin oak trees is essential to the safety of students as well as faculty, staff, and visitors. Our news is brought to you live on this Wednesday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning in mid-Missouri, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your cooling needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. We begin with Cardinal baseball. The Baltimore Orioles beat the Cardinals last night at Busch Stadium by a score of 5-3. Cedric Mullins, the Baltimore outfielder, hit a home run in the ballgame for Baltimore. Game 2 in the series coming up tonight at Busch. First pitch 6:45 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Miles Mikolas pitching tonight for St. Louis. Texas Rangers beat the Royals last night in Arlington 6-4. Rangers shortstop Corey Seager hit a home run in the game. 2 RBIs. Game 2 of the series tonight, 7:05. That will be at Globe Life Field. And the Blues beat the Minnesota Wild last night, 5-2. Game 5 of their best-of-7 series. Jordan Binnington, the Blues goaltender, had 30 saves in the game. St. Louis now leads that series 3-2. So 1 win away from clinching the series. Game 6 will be tomorrow night in St. Louis. We've had several listeners ask about these 8:30 starts, and basically that has to do with the fact that there's so many series going on. It's really our best explanation for it, because tomorrow night will be an 8:30 start as well. That one will be at Enterprise Center. Our sports is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. Our news time, 6:08. It's going to be warm this morning when you head out the door. It'll hit you as soon as you open the door. Right now, we have partly cloudy skies, 74. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Really no traffic issues to report right now. Just a reminder for those of you in the Clinkscales area, maybe you use Clinkscales to get to work. There was an overnight shooting, and there is still a police presence in that area. ABC 17's Ben Fine has been on scene. There is crime tape around that house, the 500 block. Someone shot. We don't know the extent of injuries, and police have been searching that area with flashlights. So that could impact some traffic. Not sure it will, but just letting you know in case you're heading into that area. And no major threat to the public is what the authorities are saying right now as they investigate. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
This MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
Unity. I love the marketing on this now, man. Those progressives all over the MAGA crowd. They're trying that whole thing. Remember the last time they tried marketing Putin's price hike? And Americans, nobody's buying it. It didn't become a thing because even the dumbest of Americans have a little bit of intelligence.
Americans said, no.
No. They slapped that away, said, not today, Joe. And now the latest one. So that was the other day. This MAGA crowd, most extreme. Yesterday, he used the phrase again in his speech, and I want to tell you something. So I'm sitting in here, and I'm kind of bugging Gary during the Gary Nolan show. He's on here at 9 o'clock, and it's me and him and Brian Hansen are in here. We're right in the middle of the show, and we're watching Joe Biden's speech yesterday, and he was talking about you, and he mentioned dinner table issues, and he said, he was asked the question, what's your take? There's a large consensus that all of us, you have an issue, man, and you are doing absolutely nothing about it. As a matter of fact, I'll have the answer coming up because it was stunning.
If you ignore a problem long enough, Branden, it just goes away.
You're right. It does. So we're sitting here yesterday on the Gary Nolan show, and I'm not exaggerating. We're sitting here, and I'm looking at Gary while he's trying to compose himself on air. And Brian Hansen, and we're just like literally jaws dropped at the crap that he was spreading on a cornfield or something. It was, and I know I use the word
stunning
a lot, but I don't know what else to do. So finally I had to go to a thesaurus to find
what?
Yeah, because I do. I'm aware, man. Sometimes I get stuck on these words. But it's like the end of the line, when you have all of these adjectives and you try to use a different adjective and you get to I'm at wit's end to describe the incredulity of what's happening here.
You know how big I am on self-awareness, and he has to be the worst. But I've had that situation where I've gone somewhere and two people have been together. You go somewhere else and the person's describing what happened and you're like, were we in the same room? And I'm like, I just have a completely different picture of what's going on. And he's just not on this planet. He just has no awareness of dinner table issues, of how people are feeling. I mean, he's just completely out of touch.
Staggering, mind-boggling, mind-blowing. Those are some of the other words we could use instead of stunning in this speech yesterday, and really since January 20th of 2021.
The word I've been stuck on that I say over and over, and someone pointed this out, and I was like, gosh, I have been saying that a lot. Horrifying. I think that.
But what else do you do? Yeah. I mean, we're out of adjectives to talk about how bad this is, and here's what's sad is that, there's people last night at the dinner table, whether they're in Fayette or Sturgeon or Centralia or Columbia, they're sitting around the dinner table and they're doing the math. Okay, the gas is this, the groceries are this, and this is all directly at the feet of Joe in the White House. It really is. It's not these talking points. It's not something for us old white guys to complain about. These are simple truths. They are simple facts. And then, and he's blaming. So the economy, and I've always said, I don't care who the president is. When you're the guy in charge, you're the guy in charge. If the St. Louis Cardinals suck on the field, guess who pays the price?
Usually it's the manager.
Exactly. And it's always been that way, and I don't care who the president is. And then it got more stunning. Question. It got more mind-blowing, or the word you're trying to use now.
Horrifying.
Horrifying. Check this out. This is a reporter, a reporter asking Joe about, hey, what the hell's going on, man?
How do you believe so many Americans believe that your administration is not doing enough to combat inflation? And do you believe that you and your administration bear some measure of responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing across the country?
First is we're in power. That's the first thing. And you justifiably right, we control all three branches of the government.
Now, again, I go back to my third. Hannah, can you check that? Do we control all three branches? Or we, the Democrats, as Joe said, Can anybody fact check this for me real quick? Do the Democrats control all three branches of government right now?
Stunning.
This guy, he can't teach a third grade civics course. And he's running the country. He's not running the country. It's laughable. It's stunning. It's mind-blowing. It's
horrifying.
And it's sad because it's affecting, us right here with everything. And it goes even further than just what we're paying and how we're doing gas prices, plane tickets. By the way, people want to get out and do something this summer, travel across the country, see grandkids or whatever.
Talk about horrifying. I mean, literally, the plane tickets are more than double than what they were, even a year ago. Like, even during COVID, they are... I mean, it will make you think twice about going somewhere.
January, I think I paid not quite $800. Columbia, by the way, if you fly out of the Columbia Regional Airport, it's worth it. Do the math. To Idaho, I don't know, it's like $800, and now it's been as high as $3,000. I'm lucky if I can find
$3,000.
Yeah, now that's high end, but $1,500. It's almost double.
Oh yeah,
compared to what it was in January. So the guy who can't teach a third grade civics course, he thinks Democrats control all three branches of government, and that stuff is funny, but my gosh, man, this has real life consequences for everybody.
He needs Kamala to teach him Sesame Street style, like she did about Ukraine.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that.
Oh boy.
He was asked, like, dude, what gives?
What I have to do is explain in simple, straightforward language what's going on.
I don't know if I've ever heard that guy speak in simple, straightforward language.
I have to explain it in straightforward terms. This is the same guy who thinks that the Democrats control all three branches of government. This is the guy, I got to explain it in straightforward, simple terms. The thing. And now this guy is telling you, I got to explain it in straightforward, simple terms. His straightforward, simple terms, you know what, was to blame basically you, MAGA Republicans, conservatives. That's him explaining. That's what he said. I'm not making this up. That's what he said. It's Republicans' faults. Unity. Breaks my heart.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's ever been in an organization or had a boss who won't take responsibility, somebody, you were saying, if the Cardinals are doing terrible, then the manager kind of takes the heat. And I think, you're lucky if you're in an organization where your boss and your leader takes responsibility for, the health and the welfare of the organization. And if you're, and you know how horrible it can be if it's the opposite. And here, I mean, it's just sad for our country. The buck does not stop with him, right? And he's placing blame, and for every little problem, and big problem, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening. And just once, I'd like him to say, you know what? Could have done something different here. And he refuses. And it's sad. And I think people are, I think, you can blame one problem. Oh, okay, here's a good example. So, when you have those people and they're like, man, I can't get along with this person. Man, this bad stuff is happening to me over here. Man, can you believe so-and-so is treating me like this? And then all of a sudden you're like, there is one thing in common between all of your problems, and it's you, but they just keep blaming everyone else, and you're like, and you can see it. You're like, clearly you are the person creating all of the drama, or the problems are kind of magneting to you because you make poor decisions, and they are just mind blown that like the world is, caving in on them, and you're like, no.
What happened? I don't know what's going on. It's like, why do I keep dating all these crazy broads over the years? Guess what the common denominator was?
Branden.
Me.
And there's like a meme that's kind of popular right now. It's like, oh, look, it's the consequences of my own actions.
Watching this speech yesterday, and the only people right now that's going to relate to this story is anybody who's ever been a kid. It's the only people that will relate to this story.
That really narrows it down.
Got it down, man. You're a kid, and you got your hand in the cookie jar, and your little brother's keeping an eye out to make sure that the SARs of the house, the parents, don't come in, and you got your hand in the cookie jar, and mom comes in and says, Branden, are you taking cookies? And you got your hand in the cookie jar. No.
I was just counting them, Mom.
That's what we saw yesterday. So is there hope? Well, we can look at maybe some primary races. Trump endorsed primary backers. I'm guessing one of the things we'll cover in the daily D.C. rundown coming up this morning.
Yeah, Trump took at least one L last night.
Took an L last night. Blues taking a W last night in that playoff series. They're up 3-2, and Brian Hauswirth telling us Earls Road overpass has reopened over I-70. Remember that incredible accident that happened back in the fall when that truck hit it and blew out the thing. That's already up and Adam, welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia, something we can do for you this morning. 874-9390. Do want to mention real quick, if you can watch, go to our YouTube channel, 93.9 The Eagle. You can watch the show, bring it up. You can do the videos. Matter of fact, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft in studio this morning, 7:35. So like if you're at work or something and want to talk about legislative items in Jefferson City, final days, things that will potentially affect how we vote, you'll be able to watch that this morning. He is going to be in studio with us at 7:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. If you are listening on the app, Dusty texting said, hey, had some issues with the app last night. We were aware of that. He says, the app is now working. He said, by the way, he says, I got to have you guys in my ears this morning. So he's a little bummed out because that's how he consumes Wake Up Columbia on 93.9. He says, I got to have you guys in my ears this morning. But he says, I reinstalled. There's an instant update. Hopefully you'll figure it out. Hannah or Steph's going to have to explain that stuff to you. All right, Daily DC Rundown. Trump-backed candidates. Primaries yesterday. Anything else interesting underneath the circus tent this morning?
That's on the top of my list.
A lot of rain, and this causes issues, septic tanks, lagoons, trying to drain that stuff, and it can be a challenge. I heard this story the other day. Somebody was telling me they had called Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting because they had called some other folks to say, hey, listen, we need our lagoon drained, and they were told apparently can't be done. It's too wet. We can't even get close enough to the lagoon. They said, I didn't know what to do. So, Branden, I heard you talking about Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, the website, pro-pumping.com. You said get on there, check it out. He said, I did it. He says, I went on there. So I thought, hey, I called them. I'm like, listen, I'm having a hard time getting anybody out here to correct my lagoon situation because they're saying it's too wet. John Martin said, oh, yeah? Let me see what I can do. Came out there, was able to somehow work around all that soft ground, didn't destroy anything, was able to do that. That's the kind of work that they do. Check them out online, pro-pumping.com.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. Catch Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Mornings starting at 5:30 on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
President Donald Trump endorsed me and was all in for me. Did a tele-rally, had me at a live rally, and really helped let the vote know that I was a true conservative in the race.
It's Congressman Alex Mooney won his Republican House primary race in West Virginia. He's getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
And his race was the one in West Virginia where they lost a seat, and so they drew two districts together. So it was actually two incumbents, so hotly contested. Trump had endorsed Mooney. Mooney won, but Trump really in the big races went 1-1 last night. So while Mooney won, over in Nebraska, he had endorsed, Charles Herbster, but actually Nebraska picked Jim Pillen. So Trump, that's his first bigger high-profile loss in a couple of weeks. But coming up next is Pennsylvania and Georgia, and there's some really hotly contested races there, and Trump's made endorsements in both of those.
And unless something drastic happens in Georgia, that is not going to be a win. I'll tell you how big of a deal this is for the other side, and I hate to play us against them, them against us, but getting up this morning, the number of breaking news updates that I had on my phone from CNN, USA Today, all about the headline, I kid you not, in all of them, Trump-backed candidate loses. That was the headline from these people.
You do all that work, you campaign, and you're not even the headline for losing. You can't even get the name ID on the headline for losing. It's pretty sad. But yes, all eyes are on those Trump endorsements, particularly as we look at the Missouri Senate race. Trump has not yet endorsed a candidate. So folks are kind of weighing what's that going to look like and how important could that be.
By the way, Congressman Vicky Hartzler is here about 5 minutes from now.
Also today, I believe, we're expecting a vote on the federal, who's voting? Senate is going to vote to codify Roe v. Wade. They want everyone on the record about abortion. There's varying versions of this bill, but a lot of Republicans are saying this thing goes too far. It's an expansive version of the codification. And while they could support a narrower version, this thing has no hope for success. Also, as you pointed out, Biden made a crazy speech yesterday where he referred to ultra MAGA Republicans. And I'm just wondering, is that on a t-shirt yet? Can I get one of those? It's no longer just MAGA, ultra MAGA Republican.
So, listen, bad news from Joe yesterday. We're expecting economic numbers out today, but want to see what kind of hope can we offer. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler is going to be joining us at 6:35.
That weather check was brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your cooling needs, log on to airserve.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The Senate gears up for a vote today on a nationwide abortion protection bill.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says,
now we know women's rights are at stake. So this vote is the first step. We are going to keep fighting.
But that procedural step will fail, likely several or more votes shy of the 60 needed to overcome a filibuster. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell doubts any federal abortion legislation could win a supermajority.
Fox's Jared Halpern. And Arizona is set to carry out its first execution in nearly 8 years. Clarence Dixon convicted of killing a college student in 1978.
Last night, the Ninth Circuit Federal Appeals Court refused to overturn state court rulings that found Dixon mentally competent to be executed, despite his attorney's claims that he is schizophrenic and does not understand what's happening to him.
Fox's Jack Callahan. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31. We do have some clear skies right now, and we are warming up. It's going to be potentially a record high today, according to meteorologist John Ross. We'll have more with John coming up throughout the morning right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. State health officials say the shortage of infant formula is causing anxiety for parents and caregivers. The State Department of Health, the director, Paula Nicholson, says the shortage started with the COVID pandemic It's now being impacted by recalls. She is urging you to not hoard formula and to search for it in multiple stores in your area. Meantime, Columbia police have cleared the scene of that overnight shooting in the 500 block of Clinkscales. ABC 17's Ben Fine has been on scene all night. He quotes CPD officers as telling him the victim who was shot has been released from a hospital. No arrests have been made. Boone County firefighters say a Sturgeon man was killed in a Tuesday lawnmower crash. Boone County Fire Protection District Assistant Chief Gail Blumenkamp tells 93.9 The Eagle the elderly victim was mowing a creek or near a creek when the mower overturned. Victim pronounced dead at the scene. No name as of yet. Missouri senior senator emphasizes the importance of providing non-military aid to Ukraine to alleviate disruptions in farm production caused by the Russian invasion. Senator Roy Blunt.
So we can prevent the kind of chaos that's going to occur if we don't begin to help Ukraine get its food out of the country, get its food planted for this year.
Senator Blunt there in Washington, and the New Sorrels Overpass Bridge over I-70 just west of Columbia opening yesterday. Our news is brought to you this hour by MidAmericaMortgage.us. Our news time, 6:33. Turning our attention now to sports. The Baltimore Orioles beat the Cardinals last night by a score of 5-3 at Busch Stadium. Outfielder Cedric Mullins hit a home run in the game. He really got all of it. Not a bad pitch either, and he took it downtown in the game. Game 2 in the series is tonight at Busch. First pitch 6:45 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Michaelis pitching tonight for St. Louis. Texas Rangers beat the Royals last night in Arlington 6-4. Rangers shortstop Corey Seager homered, had 2 RBIs. Game 2 of the series tonight, 7:05 at Globe Life Field. And the Blues beat the Wild last night, 5-2, Game 5 of their best-of-7 series. That one at Excel Energy Arena in St. Paul. So St. Louis now leads the series 3-2. Blues goaltender Jordan Binnington, 30 saves in the game. Blues can clinch the series tomorrow night. Game 6, Enterprise Center. Puck will drop at 8:30 tomorrow night. Our sports is brought to you this hour by the Better Business Bureau. You can join them as a business. Sign up for accreditation. Start online, bbb.org. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:34. And our traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Good news about Clinkscales, that shooting overnight. Ben Fine reporting moments ago that the scene has been cleared and the victim has been released from a hospital. We don't know the extent of injuries, but the fact that the person has been released is good news, and the scene has been cleared, so that will help. Also, a reminder, the New Sorrels Overpass Bridge over I-70 just west of Columbia opening yesterday. A live interview with Missouri Congresswoman Vicki Hartzler, the 4th Congressional District, comes your way in a moment. I'm Brian Hauswirth, the 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
The vast majority of Americans are hoping that their government just takes care of the problem, and they don't have to think about it in detail at the kitchen table or at the dinner table.
Joe Biden yesterday, that's right after he said, hey, listen, the Democrats control all 3 branches of government. Hannah fact-checked that claim. She ran it through the information czar there in D.C., and we have deemed that statement to be
false.
False. And I learned that in the 3rd grade, by the way, the 3 levels that this guy cannot teach a 3rd grade civics class. He is in charge of the country. And I hate to be all doom and gloom, but do want to present facts, want to try to offer some hope. We've reached out to Congresswoman Vicki Hartzler, who's kind enough to join us for a few minutes this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. Congresswoman, what kind of hope, at least, can you try to offer us this morning?
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have some positive signs as far as there are jobs available for people and to get back to work. And part of the inflation issue not only is to quit spending money that we don't have out of Washington, but is get people back to work. And so it's a problem, but it's also an opportunity. We have jobs everywhere, and so we need to just get people back to work, and then that'll help reduce the supply chain issues and lower the prices. But also, we've seen some response from the Biden administration to some calls for change that I'm pleased about, and one of the main ones I know you're very involved with as well is the reversal of the Department of Interior. And so that they are going to allow honor flights to have escorts again in Washington, D.C., which is a huge victory. And certainly they are deserving of that. And that was just unbelievable when they shut that down earlier. So, Senators Hawley and Blunt sent a letter, and several of us from the House, and they actually listened. Now they're not going to provide the escort from the airport to the World War II and Vietnam and Korean memorials, but once they get there, they're going to assist with parking and then help them escort them between the memorials and out to Arlington Cemetery. So that's something I think is positive. They actually listened to us and did the right thing. But something else that comes to mind is just that the voters are speaking up, and they're making a difference in these primary elections all over. And even last fall with the governor's race in Virginia, parents are coming out, moms are coming out and saying, we belong, those kids are ours, they're not yours. And we have a right to have input into their education, and we're going to elect people who support that. And so, race after race, we're seeing the American people are taking this country back, and I feel confident in November that will continue.
I feel very good about that, too. Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler is joining us here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
Branden, thanks so much. Congresswoman, we appreciate you. Two very quick follow-ups, and we really appreciate your time. Jobs that are available right now, I think that's very important because one of the things I've heard is that truck drivers are needed, and Senator Blunt's talked to me, and this has been a couple of years ago, and then maybe a year ago I remember him mentioning truck driver positions were open. So are you hearing, then I'll follow up in a moment about another quick question on inflation, but what are you hearing for employers in your district, particularly in the agricultural community, about the need for truck drivers?
Well, absolutely. This has been a shortage for a while, but it's just been exacerbated with all of the COVID and the shutdowns and things. But this is a huge key to getting our economy going again, is to getting more people who can drive trucks. And several truck driving schools have sprung up, and I know in my district and across the state, employers are willing to work with individuals, help them to get what they need. I supported legislation that passed as a pilot project allowing 18-year-olds to 21-year-olds to get a CDL license. Right now, they can drive in the state, but they can't go across state lines. And so there is going to be a project and now a program to allow them with, it's coming in an apprenticeship program, but with another driver to start driving across the state lines, which hopefully will fill some of those vacancies. But we have job openings everywhere. Every business I talk to, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's healthcare, we have a huge shortage of nurses and doctors and healthcare professionals, but also teachers. We have a near crisis in our schools right now with a shortage not only in Missouri but across this country in teachers. And so we need everyone working, and I'm just going to be continuing to encourage people to work and to make sure that we don't have the wrong incentives coming out of Washington, D.C. that goes beyond just giving people a temporary hand up, but that encourages them and subsidizes them to stay home when they could be working, when they're healthy adults. So we've got to have a full court press here in getting people back engaged in the workforce.
Congresswoman, I'm going to follow up very quickly on inflation. Thank you for the information, by the way, about the truck driving schools opening up, because I was not aware of that. You serve, as everyone knows in our listening area, on the House Agriculture Committee. You tweeted this morning inflation prices, and you gave, I'll just pick three examples here. You say meat is up 14.8%, beef is up 16%, pork up 15%. Your thoughts?
Well, we've got to increase our meat packing capacity. That's one of the things we need to allow for there to be more production, because we have the cows, we have the hogs, but there's limited amount of flow through those meat packing, and part of that is the workforce. We know one poultry plant in Missouri is working at only 60% capacity. That's causing shortages, and then, of course, that's also increasing the prices when you have limited supply. and that's because people aren't coming back to work in the poultry plant. And so back to, we got to get people working again. That'll help drive down prices, but we also have to continue to encourage more meat packing capacity. And there's several pieces of legislation out there and grants and loans now available that I've been speaking with a lot of people in Missouri, and they're pursuing standing up more meat packing plants locally, regionally, and I think that's going to help drive down the cost.
Now, what's your reaction to the SCOTUS leak and the legislation increasing security for the Supreme Court?
Well, they definitely need the security, but it is just horrific. This leak happened. It was unprecedented in our entire history, and it totally violates the trust that has been established in the Supreme Court, which gives the justices the leeway to discuss, to refine, to make sure they all come together, and then together release the final opinion. And this is just an intimidation tactic by someone to try to encourage these justices to change their mind. It's also trying to gin up the base for the Democrats to get them to come out and vote, because they have nothing else to talk about. I mean, the Democrats, under their leadership, we have a rising inflation that we're talking about that's hurting families. We have a wide open border, lack of energy because they've shut down American energy, and a debacle on the world stage with what happened with Afghanistan that has emboldened our adversaries, such as Putin, so that he's attacking an innocent free democracy. And so they don't have anything to talk about. So if they can kind of make a big deal about this, then they hope they can get people out for the election. So it's just wrong. It's evil, and I hope they get to the bottom of it, discover who leaked this, and they need to be punished to the full extent that is available.
How much are you hearing? Brian Hauswirth was talking to you about inflation, but how much are you hearing about this baby formula shortage? I've seen moms right here in Mid-Mo posting pictures of just empty shelves. And as a mother myself, I can't imagine, going to the store and not being able to get what I feel like I need for my kid.
Yeah, it's very, very concerning. It's very scary. I am hearing about it. And as, a mom who relied on formula when our baby came along, I can't imagine if you can't find more formula. What are you going to feed your child? And the president is pretty well silent on all this, and we've got to get this fixed soon. I mean, this is a crisis.
Congresswoman Vicki Hartzler here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Listen, here's my personal take on endorsements. Somebody endorses somebody. Endorsements will not change how I am going to vote for somebody. I had a great phone conversation with Senator Josh Hawley's office yesterday, very fruitful conversation. Spoke with him. We did talk about you a little bit, told him you were going to be on 93.9 The Eagle this morning. Are you, for your Senate race, are you seeking Trump's endorsement?
Yes, I would welcome it, and I also appreciate Senator Hawley's endorsement and Senator Kit Bond, as well as Missouri Cattlemen's Association, Missouri Corn Growers Association, many others. And, I think it just adds an extra layer of support that causes voters to say, hey, I should look at this candidate. But I do ultimately believe it's the person's qualifications that should matter, their experience, and what they believe and their stands. And I'm so encouraged by the support that we've been getting, that we are now leading in the polls, and we're leading in fundraising, other than Dave Schatz, who loaned himself $2 million. But we're doing very well, and, I just hope and believe that it'll just continue to grow as we approach August 2nd. And I encourage people to go to VickiHartzler.com and join our mission to save this country. We've got to stand up now and turn this thing around. The Democrats have ruined our country, or trying to, and now's our opportunity to make a difference, not only for ourselves, but for future generation, and preserve America's greatness.
I think it was so cool. We did a Central Missouri Honor Flight just this past Monday, and hearing from the veterans saying, man, how great was that to have the police escorts in D.C. Thank you for your work on that, as always. If there's anything we can do to be of service to the constituents here in mid-Missouri, Congresswoman, please let us know.
Sounds good. We will. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
All right, you too. We do have an issue with our app. I'm only saying that because people are like, hey, what's going on with the app?
Yeah, we are aware of it. It is a work in progress, and I apologize for the inconvenience.
It's Hannah's fault.
But someone did say that they uninstalled it and reinstalled it, and that update helped, right? So that might be one fix if you're still...
It worked for one person. I have not had the same experience elsewhere.
And I'm thinking, so if you're having a problem on the app, bear with us. But if you're listening on the app, you're probably not hearing this right now. But for future reference, that's why you should make sure you have us tabbed on YouTube. So if for some reason you're not at a radio, you can't get us on the app, for whatever reason you can't listen online, this is a good reminder to make sure somewhere you have, make sure you know about the 93.9 The Eagle channel on YouTube. You can watch the show. As a matter of fact, an hour from now, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft is here. Things that, listen, final few days of the legislative session, voting legislation. He's going to be talking about that. You'll be able to see him. He's here 7:35 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle on 93.9theeagle.com. A couple of things, and I know we go through this usually every summer. But we're not even in summer, and we've had some temps approaching record highs. So some things that are good reminders. We'll do that coming up about 5 against all natural biologics when it comes to chronic pain. If you've got chronic joint pain and you're not having success, let's say with steroids. Listen, I've been through all of that stuff. I've got I want to call it an epidural shot, but I know that's not right. But the shot where they take the big needle and nerve block, jam it up into your spine. I did that because years dealing with chronic pain because of piriformis syndrome and the pain meds. And listen, there is something out there. I want to make sure that you're familiar with this QC Kinetics. You can call QC Kinetics now. There's something different, new and exciting. I'll say that. Call QC Kinetics, 573-545-5588, 573-545-5588. This is a free consultation with local medical professionals. Call QC Kinetics, phone number 573-545-5588.
This is Wake Up Columbia, featuring Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
But even if the temperature is as low as in the 70s, if the vehicle's closed and all the windows are shut, even within an hour, that temperature can rise above 100 degrees inside the vehicle.
That's MU Health physician Dr. Christopher Sampson talking to KOMU Channel 8. Reminder as temps get warm. And I find this silly, and forgive me. I have never in my life, even when my kid was young, I've never accidentally left my kid in a car. I'm not saying it can't happen. It's stunning to me. Now, I grew up in an era, my mom and dad, man, they'd go to the bar and they'd leave us kids out in the car for several hours at a time. And that was acceptable. I shouldn't say it was acceptable for my mom at the very least back in the day. My dad, it wasn't his thing.
It's not silly. It's a real fear. Like when there were several reported incidents when I had young kids, and I was terrified. I mean, you have to remember, I was working 60 hours a week. I was running on no sleep. You have done some stupid things. Just things mindless things when you had no sleep. I've
never left a kid in a car, though. My God.
Have you? But things. I mean, there was a couple of times I put eggs in the freezer like 4 times, and my husband would be like, "Where are the eggs?" I'm like, "I bought eggs." Dang. I would be so mad. I would be like, "Chris, just open your eyes." And he's like, "Here they are again in the freezer, Steph." And, things like that. Or like, have you ever been driving to work and you have somewhere different to go that day? And then like you end up at work and you're like, "Oh no, I was supposed to go." Like you're just that mindless. And so if it's not part of your routine and you're just on no sleep, there are a couple of things you can do. I've heard like you put a stuffed animal in the car seat, and that way when the kid is there, then you move the stuffed animal up to your passenger seat. So that's just an extra reminder when you're getting out of the car. If the stuffed animal is sitting next to you, then guess what? You still got a kid back there.
The other good tip I've heard is don't forget your kid in the back seat.
Is get more sleep. I mean, we all make mistakes, and it's a terrible, terrible mistake. But I think that any of us are above making a mistake, even a serious one. I'm not gonna say that. We're all susceptible.
We all put eggs in the freezer.
I did it quite a few. That was like my one weird thing. But yeah, mindless. When you walk to your trash can, you've got like your keys and a piece of trash. You get to another room and you're like, "Oh, I'm still holding the trash. I guess my keys are in the trash can." It's just.
Still have never left my kid in the back seat of a car. I've done all those stuff. Hell, just a couple of months ago, I was on Stadium. I was headed eastbound, and I come up to 63, and I'm not kidding. I got not lost like, where am I? I mean, I got lost like, where am I?
Oh, no.
Like, where am I going? Where did I come from? What day of the week is it?
That's kind of scary.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is a good reminder that it's hot outside. And so you guys know I'm not a pets person, but not only should you be careful about kids in hot cars, you need to be careful about pets in hot cars. And I also saw the post about, remember the asphalt is super, super hot. So it like burns your pet's paws. So like just a reminder, like.
Get them shoes.
No.
Have you seen the little dog shoes?
No.
They're so cute.
And what happens after eggs are in the freezer, by the way?
You have to throw them away.
Really?
I don't even know. Yeah, no.
Can you thaw them out? And
I
use
don't
them?
think so.
Well, when things freeze, they expand. So, like, the shells could have cracked.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. The app, by the way, we are getting a lot of text. 874-9390. We have had some things with the app, so we're just letting you know. We're not picking on anybody. But there are issues, and we're mentioning that because people are asking. This is a good reminder on that app. So we've had some issues. Good reminder. You can listen live on at 939theeagle.com. The other thing that you can do is watch the show. You can watch it on Facebook, or you can pull it up on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and if you were just watching, you would have just seen Stephanie practicing her selfie skills.
Coming up here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Joe Biden mentions dinner table stuff yesterday. And we're trying to find new words for stunning because what Joe said, and by the way, those comments carried live yesterday on the Gary Nolan Show on 93.9 The Eagle. Trying to find other words besides stunning because we just don't know how else to explain the guys in charge. He did mention dinner table stuff, and wondering what is it that you're talking about at the dinner table yesterday. We might get into that coming up at 7:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Better Business Bureau helps you, not just business, but I'm talking to you directly. If you go to the website, bbb.org, there's a couple of things they do. They can steer you in the right direction to find trustworthy businesses. Of course, you know, the BBB really got famous for solving issues that people have with businesses. They can do that for you, too. Last year, I had an issue with an airline, and I complained and complained and complained, and finally somebody who was smarter than myself at the time said, Branden, why don't you contact the Better Business Bureau? And I'll tell you, the BBB and the way that they helped me at bbb.org, incredible, because I was dealing with an airline based in Las Vegas from a flight from Illinois to Florida. It was just insane. And after weeks of trying to deal with this airline, I kid you not, the Better Business Bureau, within a matter of days, they had it solved. They will do the same for you. Check out their website, bbb.org.
More record highs at the pump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
So why do gas prices keep going up so high?
President Biden wondered that aloud. He's blamed Russia's invasion, oil companies, and Republicans for not doing enough. But GOP Senator John Thune points a finger right back.
His administration right now has no solution except to spend more.
Gas is up 3 more cents today. AAA's national average for regular now a record $4.40 per gallon. In about a half hour, we'll get the April inflation report. Consumer prices have surged lately at levels not seen in 40 years. Pro-choice activists planned more protests today outside Supreme Court justices' homes, angering Republicans.
The message behind showing up at someone's house is, we know where you live. We're going to make you uncomfortable. We're going to make your family uncomfortable.
And Senator Marco Rubio says there's a risk someone could get violent. But Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tells Fox.
The Supreme Court itself has heard this argument, and they have themselves said it is protected by the First Amendment.
After last week's leaked draft opinion showing conservative justices ready to overturn the ruling that gave women the right to choose, today Senate Democrats will vote on a bill to legalize abortion nationwide, but without Republican support, it'll fail. The two parties do agree on this.
The Ukrainian people, they need us. They are in desperate need of our support.
Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and the Democrats were joined by most Republicans approving $40 billion more. Fox's Jill Nato.
The package gives Ukraine military and humanitarian aid. It goes to the Senate next, but it's not clear when they'll vote on it. But the bill already has support from Republican Lindsey Graham.
It puts weapons in the hands of the Ukrainian military who are fighting like tigers.
Another primary win for a Trump-backed candidate, Alex Mooney in West Virginia.
Really helped let the vote know that there's a true conservative in the race.
The Republican beat fellow GOP Congressman David McKinley, but in Nebraska, the former president's chosen candidate for governor, Charles Herbster, lost the Republican primary. America's listening to Fox News.
You know, every 3 seconds there is a new victim of identity theft. A criminal could be applying for loans in your name, selling your personal information on the dark web. Now, protecting your identity can be very easy thanks to LifeLock by Norton. No one company can prevent all identity theft or monitor every transaction of every business, but LifeLock, it's simple and easy to protect yourself, and you'll save up to 25% off your first year when you go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. Just use the promo code Hannity.
If you're in the market for a new home or your dream home, go with a lender you can count on for competitive rates. Over 300 loan products and thousands of loan consultants to help make sure you get the home and the mortgage that you want. Call now to see if you're pre-approved. 866-888-LOAN. 866-888-LOAN. Or go to LoanDepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal Housing Opportunity Lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:02. We do have partly sunny skies already and warming up. 74 is our current temperature. We're expecting sunshine. Today's high around 92. Clear tonight with a low near 70 degrees. Good morning, and here are some of the stories we are working on for you in this 7 o'clock hour. Columbia police need your help in searching for a suspect or suspects. We're not sure right now. Someone who shot the person overnight in the 500 block of Clinkscales. ABC 17's Ben Fine was on scene all night. He quotes CPD officers as telling him about an hour ago the victim who was shot has been released from a hospital. The crime scene tape has been taken down in that area, 500 block of Clinkscales. Again, a person shot. No arrests have been made. Anyone with information should call Crime Stoppers. 573-875-TIPS is the phone number. Meantime, state health officials are urging Missourians to refrain this morning from hoarding infant formula as a nationwide shortage is impacting parents and caregivers. State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Paula Nicholson says the formula shortage began as a result of COVID, and now it's taking place as well because of recall. She recommends feeding your baby over 6 months old more baby food, less formula as well. Boone County Fire District officials have not released the name of the elderly Sturgeon man who was killed in Tuesday's lawnmower crash near a creek. Assistant Fire Chief Gail Blomenkamp tells 93.9 The Eagle the victim was apparently mowing near a creek when the mower overturned. He says firefighters and EMS personnel treated the victim for about 30 minutes. He was pronounced dead at the scene. A Southwest Missouri congressman who is seeking the GOP Senate nomination is appalled that he says a debate hasn't been scheduled in this primary. Springfield Congressman Billy Long says the Missouri GOP Senate primary is one of the nation's highest profile races.
Vicky just sure doesn't want me bringing up the fact that she's tied with Liz Cheney, dead even in 3 categories, including Freedom Works, where I'm 100%, and her and Liz Cheney are 60%.
Liz Cheney is a Republican congresswoman from the state of Wyoming. Congressman Long spoke on 93.9 The Eagles Wake Up Columbia. 21 Republicans are going to be listed on the August GOP primary ballot. Incumbent Senator Roy Blunt isn't seeking re-election this year. Missouri senior senator is emphasizing the importance of providing non-military aid to Ukraine to alleviate disruptions in farm production caused by the Russian invasion. Senator Roy Blunt serves on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence.
So we can prevent the kind of chaos that's going to occur if we don't begin to help Ukraine get its food out of the country, get its food planted for this year.
Senator Blunt spoke yesterday along with the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to Capitol reporters in Washington. New Sorrells Overpass Bridge west of Columbia has opened. The Missouri Department of Transportation says it opened Tuesday morning. You'll recall the old bridge was struck by a truck in mid-October, causing significant damage to the old bridge, and MoDOT was forced to close it. And a Centralia man has suffered serious injuries in a one-vehicle accident. It happened yesterday afternoon in Audrain County. State troopers say Gabriel Pettit, P-E-T-T-I-T. We're not 100% sure on the pronunciation on that from authorities, but his name is Gabriel Pettit, we believe, 40 years old from Centralia, lost control of his vehicle, left the side of the road and overturned. Mr. Pettit was ejected from that vehicle and taken to University Hospital here in Columbia. Again, serious conditions. Our news is brought to you this hour in the 7 o'clock hour on the Eagle by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory is in downtown Columbia, and they have tasty treats and delicious handmade chocolates and candies from the Candy Factory. Anniversary, birthday, and any day, you can find them online, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, Cardinal baseball, the Baltimore Orioles beat the Cardinals last night at Busch Stadium 5-3. Cedric Mullins had a big home run in the game. He's an outfielder batting leadoff, pretty good hitter, and took it deep in that game. And really, the Orioles never looked back. Game 2 in the series is tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch 6:45 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Texas Rangers beat the Royals last night in Arlington 6-4. Corey Seager, who's a shortstop for the Rangers, hit a home run in the game. Game 2 of their series tonight will start at 7:05 Globe Life Field in Arlington. Blues beat the Minnesota Wild last night 5-2. That was Game 5 of their best-of-7 series. St. Louis now leads the series 3-2, one win away from clinching it. Jordan Binnington had 30 saves in that game. So again, Game 6 will come up tomorrow night, and that one will be at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. That'll be an 8:30 start. If the Blues win, they will win that series. If they lose the game, there'd be a Game 7, and that one would go back to XL Energy Arena in St. Paul. Our sports is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. Our news time is 7:08. Right now, we do have mostly clear skies here in Columbia. John, thank you. 75. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening. Today, no major issues to report right now on the roads. A reminder for those of you just tuning in, the new Sorrells Overpass Bridge west of Columbia opened yesterday. It opened without a lot of attention. We actually learned about it from several of our listeners. MoDOT did not announce it, but I did confirm it with him. It has opened. That was struck, the old bridge, by a truck back in mid-October. Significant damage, had to demolish it. So that's a new one, and it has opened, the new one just west of Columbia, Sorrells Overpass. We'll have another update coming your way at the bottom of the hour. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Why do you believe so many Americans believe that your administration is not doing enough to combat inflation? And do you believe that you and your administration bear some measure of responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing across the country?
First is we're in power. That's the first thing. And you justifiably right, we control all three branches of the government.
You're kidding, right?
No, I didn't edit that. Well, I put the buzzer in at the end. I edited that, but I did not mess with Joe's comments. We control, by the way, control, interesting word. Interesting use of that word, by the way. We control all three branches of government. It's funny and it's scary at the same time. That's the guy that people voted for that's running the country. Gas prices. Forget about the Ukraine bull. Gas prices have been going up. Gas prices have been going up since January 20th of 2021. And if you want, you can run that through the information czar at the White House, the Minister of Truth. And that is a fact.
Or you can run it through my bank account.
And gas prices are bad again. Well, still, they've been bad. They get worse. Record high prices. Diesel, my goodness. These business owners, and I think of small business owners, people that do like local delivery services or these HVAC guys locally that are out on the road, and people like Salter Lawn Service, these people that are driving to places, providing services to people, their fuel cost. Stunning. And I apologize, I just can't think of a better word than stunning. Stephanie has a good word, better than stunning.
Oh, horrifying. Yeah, but growing up, my dad was an electrician, had an electrical business, so there wasn't really, they had a home base, but basically a fleet of trucks, small business, that was a big cost for them was fuel. And, the business is responsible for all that, but when you got, 10 trucks going all over because you have to make house, that's the whole point with these, plumbers and all of these folks are having, that's part of their expense every day, and it's a significant one. And you think, just what it's done for your one car. Think about having 10 cars and then still having to, at the end of the month, write those folks' paychecks, for the same amount, yet your expenses are skyrocketing.
I heard from somebody yesterday, somebody said they were talking about something in the city and how they promote stuff, and they said, well, they don't want to come on your show because you hate the city. I said, how did you come up with that? Well, because they talk about, the city council. Doesn't mean I love Columbia, mostly. Oh, I do. I do.
Wow, you're really selling it, man.
No, I do. I'm passionate about this place because I live here. My friends live here. Fortunately, I don't have a job here. I get to do this every day, but I love this place. Anyhow.
Well, and we can argue about the margins. We've gone there before, and I said, I've talked to other community leaders, and we have the luxury to argue over things like roll carts because we aren't really having to argue over serious. we have crime, but not to the same extent that other communities have. We have a wonderful park system. We have all of these really good things going for us. So while we, kind of rip on the city about some of the things on the margins, I feel like overall we get to do that because so much else good is happening here in Columbia.
So here is a little bit of good news. Biden said a couple of things yesterday. So maybe this is a little bit of hope.
Look, I know you got to be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
He can taste your frustration, man. Does that make you feel better? Listen, I don't like to use the F word on the show, but when...
Whoa, I don't like you to use that word either.
No.
when he said...
I can taste it.
I kind of prefer he would have said I can smell it because he's so big on sniffing.
Well, and I hate this F word, but when you say something like,
I can taste it,
it makes me think of somebody passing gas so bad that
I can taste it.
Gross.
Fart.
Yes, thank you.
Jesus, you're a grown man and you can't even say the word fart.
I'm so uncomfortable with that word. So there's your hope, man. Joe Biden, he tastes your frustration.
I know you got to be frustrated. I know. I can taste it.
I can taste your frustration. By the way, 15 minutes from now, Fox News should be on this. Latest economic numbers are going to be coming out. I thought this was interesting, though. We talk about dinner table issues. When people are sitting around the house, sitting around the dinner table at the end of the night, what are they talking about around the dinner table?
The vast majority of Americans are hoping that their government just takes care of the problem, and they don't have to think about it in detail.
Which is interesting, too. No, the people that voted for you think the government's going to take care of your problems.
At the kitchen table, at the dinner table.
At the dinner table. What are the things you talk about at the dinner table? I've been asking some people via text this morning. 874-9390. When are we going to see the grandkids? The other one was, we talked about the crazy people. Last night, I was trying to think, so last night at the dinner table, and I actually did sit down at a dinner table last night. It was a radio station event. I'm trying to think, what did we talk about? And I can't think really that there was really anything of consequence. Also off the text, 874-9390. Somebody's been watching on YouTube, and Brian, they want to know if your back hurts. They said you're walking funny when they see you on the video when you come in to do the news.
Back doesn't hurt. It's just it's a little hard that we have new chairs in here, and yeah, it's not the most comfortable chair. I got to tell you that. But no, back is doing fine. So thank goodness.
I figured it was from all the hardware you picked up last night. Can we give a big round of applause?
Yes.
Can we step aside real quick? We do the Dundies every year, except we call them the Zimmies. The Dundies. Anybody watches The Office, you get a Dundee award. everybody gets an award, and it's a beautiful thing. It's one of the things that we love about the Zimmer Radio Group, not just because of how entrenched they are in the community, how much Zimmer Radio Group helps the community, but if you ever get an opportunity to work for the Zimmer Radio Group, we talk about Veterans United and some other great places to work. Zimmer Communications really should be in that conversation. Brian Hauswirth, cleaning up last night, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. A lot of work, and congrats to you for your award as well. Very, very well for your basically your editorial. And it was very well done. But I was fortunate enough to win in the breaking news category. I was at the courthouse with Lindley Rennick's verdict. Well, that was
which was a national story.
National, yeah, absolutely, and will continue to be. Because she is suing someone in that case right now, as we know. But, yeah, won for that, and then severe weather coverage for the winter weather, that storm where we had 10-plus inches of snow, and then the governor's prayer breakfast as well. So it was a wonderful event, and very grateful, and congrats to you as well.
I called Brian Beyonce this morning, and I don't know if he knows why I called him Beyonce, but he went with it.
I'm going to think he probably doesn't even know who Beyonce is.
Well, no. I was taking a picture of him with all of his awards last night, and he was having a hard time holding them all at once. And it just made me think of the pictures of, like, Adele or Beyonce or whatever, struggling to hold all their trophies.
You posted that picture to the Facebook page, didn't you?
I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's
a great picture. Yeah.
By the way, let me say this, and I don't like to talk about myself, but I got to say this, and you can go to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page and fact check. You can run it through by the way, this information czar in D.C. that they're trying to, they're going to do. The woman they're appointing to handle this job apparently spread some incredible disinformation of her own. But you can we look good. I got to say this. The four of us, we look good together. You should check out some of those pictures.
Yes.
From last night.
We look better at like 5, 6 p.m. when we've had time to like get dressed up than 5 a.m. I'll just say that. But
that's true.
And I didn't say this last night at the dinner table.
So should you be saying it on air?
I don't know. Let's see. So the opinion piece Brian was referring to that I got a Zimmy Award for, it was Hannah Nicole Jones. Everybody know who Hannah Nicole Jones is? 1619 BS stuff. And Martin Luther King, in contrasting those two. And they thought, hey, that is pretty good. And here's what makes me proud, two things. Gary Nolan, I always think, should win on that for opinion stuff. So for me to win, by the way, is like, whoa.
Absolutely.
By the way, Gary Nolan's reaction yesterday to Joe Biden's speech from the White House.
What a steaming pile of poo we're listening to. Gary Nolan.
I love that. Gary Nolan's here 9 o'clock this morning on 93.9 The Eagle. But so they start playing some of this piece regarding Martin Luther King and how full of crap Hannah Nicole Jones and the whole 1619 critical race theory, how it's all crap. And they start playing it in front of several hundred folks at this event last night. I'm like, hey, thank you for the nod. I appreciate that, but all company included, maybe not appropriate to be playing in this setting because. So, congratulations, and nobody more deserving than myself.
Wow.
Great
Wow.
job.
Brian, we love you.
You're
and
awesome.
That's why you're...
And those pictures really look good. They really.
We do.
We needed, the only thing we needed was maybe a flashbulb, because with that Zimmy sign behind us, it was a little hard to get the picture, but it turned out pretty well.
The light shone on Brian Hauswirth last night. So coming up less than 10 minutes from now, Fox should be on this for you at 7:30. Latest, and I don't know which numbers there. I don't know if it's inflation. Again, we're going to see, because perspective on what's happened since January the 20th of 2021. Hannah and Stephanie have never experienced. This is something Hannah's never experienced in her lifetime. Hannah has a college degree from Mizzou. Hannah has been part of the mass communications industry for several years now. Stephanie, you know how great she is. I mean, just look at the man that she married. These people have never experienced. Stephanie Bell has never experienced this in our lifetime. What's happened since January 20th, 2021. Numbers coming up 7:30. Meanwhile, we're going to do What's Hot with Hannah at 7:25. What's smoking today?
Well, there's an old guy that made the news for doing something dumb in a Starbucks.
That's coming up. Kind of prioritize. He said, yeah, you can do this, and that's right now, that's not a big deal, and that is why I appreciate Gap's Automotive Repair Shop, and I think you would too. They're in Columbia and in Boonville.
Let's go. Wake up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
What a steaming pile of poo we're listening to.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
Was he talking about us?
He's just bitter that you won that Zimmy last night.
You know, seriously, that's it is kind of a problem, like, because Gary, he's great with that stuff when it comes to opinion pieces, things like that. So it is kind of like, oh, wow. Hey, Gary, my dad gives you all this love, and your reaction to Wake Up Columbia?
What a steaming pile of poo we're listening to.
My goodness. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft is going to be here 7:35. Here's why. There is some legislation in Jefferson City. We've got 3 days left.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that could affect and improve the way we vote. That's coming up 7:35. But now 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
The PETA activists are at it again.
Uh-oh.
And I hope that by me talking about this, we don't get any angry emails again.
We got like a letter in the mail from PETA one time.
All because we talked about a bungee jumping pig. Like, who'd have thought?
And that's what they were upset about, was that we were laughing about this pig bungee jumping. They weren't upset by the fact that the pig was slaughtered by these Chinese villagers and devoured afterwards. Wow.
So James Cromwell, who is an actor, he was in Babe and Succession. He is 82 years old, and he walked into a Starbucks in New York City and glued his hand to the counter to protest the fact that Starbucks charges more if you put vegan milk in your drink than cow's milk. And I guess he glued himself to the counter, griped about that for a while, and then 30 minutes later, he just peeled himself off and went on his merry way.
Because I'd like to say, and what was the guy's name?
James Cromwell.
I want to say, okay, James, you got your hand glued to the counter. What's your next move?
I just love that he's like, okay, 30 minutes, I'm done. I'm just going to
I feel like
unstick myself.
Starbucks is like, we were looking for some employees anyway. Thanks for volunteering.
Start handing out some lattes, James. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, potential changes as it relates to legislative action regarding how you vote. That's here. He's here at 7:35.
That check of weather brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your cooling needs, log on to airserve.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The finger pointing continues as gas hits a record high and consumers feel the sting of other increases.
The record-setting inflation outpacing wages, meaning Americans continue to lose money. President Biden blamed the pandemic, Putin, and attacked the Republicans.
I never expected the ultra MAGA Republicans who seem to control the Republican Party now to have been able to control the Republican Party.
Republicans like Rick Scott slamming the president, saying White House policies on everything from green energy to the $1.9 trillion COVID spending signed into law by Biden have now led to skyrocketing inflation and price increases.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson, and a key number just in the April Consumer Price Index shows an increase of 8.3% year over year. That is hotter than expected. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 7:31 and Robinson saves you time. We do have sunshine. It's a warm morning here in mid-Missouri. 76 our current temperature. We're expecting sunny skies. Today's high 92. It'll be a warm night tonight. Low near 70 degrees. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth. State health officials say the shortage of infant formula is causing anxiety for parents and caregivers. State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Paula Nicholson says the shortage began with the COVID pandemic. It's now being impacted by recalls. She is urging you to not hoard formula, to search for it at multiple stores in your area. Meantime, Columbia police have cleared the scene of an overnight shooting. It happened in the 500 block of Klingscales. Here in town, ABC 17's Ben Fine, quoting officers on scene, is telling him the victim who was shot has been released from the hospital. No arrests have been made. Boone County firefighters say a Sturgeon man was killed in a Tuesday lawnmower crash. Boone County Fire Protection District Assistant Chief Gail Blomenkamp tells 93.9 The Eagle the elderly victim was mowing near a creek when the mower overturned. Victim pronounced dead at the scene. Missouri senior senator emphasizes the importance of providing non-military aid to Ukraine to alleviate disruptions in farm production caused by the Russian invasion. Senator Roy Blunt serves on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence.
So we can prevent the kind of chaos that's going to occur if we don't begin to help Ukraine get its food out of the country, get its food planted for this year.
Senator Blunt spoke to Capitol reporters in Washington. And the new Sorrells Overpass Bridge over I-70 just west of Columbia opening yesterday. The old bridge had to be closed last fall after being struck by a truck. News brought to you by WillettDentalAssociates.com. It's 7:33. And we'll start in this sports hour with the St. Louis Cardinals. We are your home for Cardinal baseball here in mid-Missouri and Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle. The Orioles beat the Cardinals last night 5-3 at Busch Stadium. Outfielder Cedric Mullins hit a home run in the game for the Orioles. Game 2 is tonight at Busch Stadium. First pitch 6:45 on 93.9 The Eagle. Miles Michaelis will be pitching tonight. Texas Rangers beat the Royals in Arlington last night 6-4. Game 2 of the series tonight 7:05. That'll be in Arlington at Globe Life Field. And in hockey, how about the Blues? Pretty impressive game last night. They beat the Wild 5-2 in Game 5 of their best-of-7 series. St. Louis now one game away from winning the series. They're up 3-2. But that series is now going to go back to the XL Energy Arena for Game 6. Jordan Binnington, 30 saves last night, and the Blues can clinch tomorrow night in Game 6. It'll be at Enterprise Center tomorrow night, and if there is a seventh game, I want to clarify the seventh game would be at XL Energy Arena tomorrow night, Enterprise Center at 8:30, and hopefully the Blues will be able to clinch that game. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. Our news time is 7:34. And our traffic check is with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Our roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. Just a very quick note. We did have that overnight shooting in the 500 block of Klingscales. Authorities still searching for a suspect or suspects, but the scene has been cleared. They had tape surrounding, and police were out there all night with flashlights, so that did impact some traffic overnight. That has since been cleared. If anyone has information on the suspects, though, you're urged to call authorities, 875-TIPS. Coming up right after this newscast, we'll have a live interview with Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote, and you elect dishonest, incompetent people, and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who, in fact, did not even leave the house on Election Day.
I know people get mad whenever I play the legendary bit from comedian George Carlin. And I'll tell you, if you were watching on YouTube, you can watch, by the way, go to our channel, 93.9 The Eagle. You watch the show every day. You'll see two very different reactions to that from myself and the guy who handles elections, who you voted to handle elections for the state of Missouri, Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. I don't think you found that as humorous as I did.
Well, I found it humorous. I mean, George Carlin was humorous. I was a little worried about what he might say next because you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, and I was thinking about the cough button here. But I do want people to participate. One of the things that I've really strived to do is to make sure that our elections would be fair and it would be strong and it'd be easy to vote and hard to cheat. And we need more people voting. We need more people involved. We definitely need more wisdom in Jefferson City and in Washington, D.C., and we get that from more people voting.
As a matter of fact, I go to Columbia Pachyderm meetings most Fridays. They meet every Friday, and I'm usually about, you said more people voting. I always think we need more younger people. I really believe that. And I'm a 51-year-old white dude. I think we need more younger people. I go to the Columbia Pachyderms, and there's a guy, Jim. He brought a guy this past Friday, first time ever. He is a naturalized citizen from Honduras, I believe. Guy's 28 years old and came to a pachyderm meeting to check this stuff out. I'm really big on messaging to a younger. And I do want to get into some important stuff in Jefferson City that's affecting us all as it relates to voting. But you're younger than me, right?
Just slightly.
But what do you think about that kind of more as a personal conversation, Jay? The messaging to perhaps a younger generation of conservatives?
Well, I think it's important for everyone to get out and vote. What I really hope, though, is that we have self-educated voters that don't, necessarily believe the radio commercials or the TV commercials, but go ahead and educate themselves and take the time to know what's on the ballot and figure out what's what before they go and vote. But, voting is not just a privilege. It's not just a right, it's a responsibility. I get to live in the greatest country on the face of the earth because of men and women that I will never meet that died before I was ever born, that did the hard work of being good citizens so that this city on a hill, the light would not go out and it would be here for future generations. And voting and being active civic participants is part of the responsibility for continuing that.
Brianna Lennon in Boone County Clerk. By the way, they are looking for poll workers. And if you are since you are listening to Wake Up Columbia right now on 93.9 The Eagle, they are looking for you to be poll workers. Go to the website, check that out. And there are some things happening I do want to get to here real quick, especially Mr. Hauswirth, who, by the way, we did a big award show last night.
Mr. Beyonce?
Mr. Beyonce. He bagged some hardware last night. He took home all kinds of awards. I want to mention this Jay Ashcroft, Secretary of State, joining us here on the show. If you're watching on YouTube, you see I think he's sporting a better 5 o'clock shadow than I am right now. Good work, man.
Hey, thank you so much. It's good to see you. Thank you, Branden, and good to see you, Mr. Secretary. I know at the beginning of the session we talked to you, and I'll put it out there again for people to see it, sos.mo.gov. You've got on your homepage, time remaining in 2022 Missouri legislative session to pass election integrity reform. As of right now, 2 days, 10 hours, 19 minutes, 50 seconds. You had that up at the beginning of session. You were worried at that time maybe about the Senate. What's the status right now in terms of the time frame? Because there's not a lot of time left.
No. We have a good election bill that was passed by the House. It went over to the Senate. They amended it. And now it's been pushed back to the House. It just needs one more vote in the House. And I'm kind of happy if that timeline works out correctly, because the way the legislature's been, sometimes we thought they might just go home early this year.
So you bring up a very good point, because it's so hard to, unless you're there watching every single minute, you're exactly right. It gets amended and stuff. So the House passed basically voter ID, and other things are in it as well, but that's huge. Senate passed a very similar version, but amended it, so it needs one more vote in the House. Two-part question here, and I know Branden has a lot of follow-ups as well, but why is this so important, A, and B, you've heard this, but I have to ask you, for the Democrats on the floor saying it would disenfranchise minority voters, it would keep people from voting, keep the elderly from voting, your response to those arguments that they've made for years?
Well, let me just say that politicians say all sorts of stuff that just doesn't turn out to be the truth. This bill will not stop any legal registered voter from voting. When we passed photo ID originally, we actually expanded ballot access. And what I will tell you, without dropping names, is that in private, a lot of the people that stand up on the floor and say things about this say, look, this is not a bad bill. I know we'll implement it correctly, but I've been telling my constituents for years that you're a racist, and I can't stop doing that publicly now.
Name names. I'm kidding, Secretary.
So I'm really happy. There was a lot of work that was done. It was my wife's birthday. I was in the Senate chambers, the lounge, meeting with a bunch of senators, just working through different amendments and compromises. And, actually there's been a lot of controversy, a lot of people unhappy with each other in the Senate. This may be a bill that we can point to at the end of it, say people came together, they worked, and they made a difference for the people of the state. They made our elections more secure. They made it easier to prosecute people that would fraudulently try to vote, try to change the election. They made it so people can have more confidence in it. It's just a win-win all around.
Thank you. And which wife's, not which wife, which,
whoa, no.
Sorry, which birthday was it for your wife?
I think she turned 23.
Good work, Secretary of State Jay.
Is that a good political answer?
It's a good political answer. And here's the thing that bothers me. And by the way, your office, if you need to get to someplace to vote, I'm pretty sure, number one, our Boone County clerk, Brianna Lennon, could probably somehow facilitate that. Or the Secretary of State's office will get you, they will help you with this. And here's the thing. And I've probably said this a million times. I get upset, especially, and our local news outlets do it too. The legislators, they're restricting voting rights. They're making it tougher to vote. My goodness, I get angry at the news outlets here in town and statewide at the way this is not restricting voting rights. It is not making it harder to vote. My goodness, when you, as closely as you are tied to this as the Secretary of State, when you see news outlets that say those things, I always wonder, how do you react? You're a voting citizen of Missouri, by the way. You're a registered voter, just like me, but you're also Secretary of State. How do you react to those headlines?
I think I start thinking about talking like George Carlin.
Is anything else that you want to cover that we haven't, that's important that we need to bring out into the daylight here?
I think the most important thing to speak about is this bill would not be moving the way it has without the people of the state. Citizen involvement is what is necessary for this government of the people, by the people, and for the people to continue. We've seen the people getting involved in school board elections. We've seen the people getting involved at the legislature, at the state level. I think it's a phenomenal thing. That's what we need more in this country. We, the people, taking back our country and saying, wait a minute, government isn't about the bureaucrats. It's not about the experts. It's about we, the people. And this country is its best and its greatest, and the future is brightest when we, the people, are involved in making sure that we move in the right direction, protecting individual liberty and personal freedom.
And not just politically, by the way. We had some guy, and I loved his honesty yesterday. He called. Incidentally, I think there's context. It was right after we had on Congressman Billy Long, who's running for Senate. So after the show yesterday, this guy calls and says, yeah, I heard you have Billy Long on yesterday. Have you reached out to any other Senate candidates? So, well, yeah, Mark McCloskey was in studio last Thursday. Hartzler is on today. And he said, oh, well, I stand corrected. I thought Billy Long was the only one you were talking to. But he says, I'm one of the 34 other candidates in the Republican primary for Senate. I appreciated his honesty about himself and the sense of humor. And I told him, I said, but I appreciate the fact that you're getting involved. And it's not just people who get involved politically. It's charity. It's in your town. Picking up trash off the street. There's all kinds of ways to get involved. Before we let you go, I know I've said this a million times too. Seriously, is your dad, because I always bug you about it, but is that like off the table that your dad would ever come out and hang out with us one morning?
It's something he would consider. Just had the joy of celebrating his 80th birthday this week, and it was fun to get together and celebrated Mother's Day and his birthday down on the family farm in Southwest Missouri. But he loves being on his farm and working and tinkering on his farm.
Well, he doesn't have to come here. We'd call him on his phone, and it's only fair. You've met my dad. You've hung out with my dad. I think it's fair play. And did you watch the Blues game last night?
Did not. Too late. Knew I was going to be on the road for stuff this morning. So excited.
Yeah.
Kind of disappointed that the Cardinals are having a little trouble, but it was great to see the Blues put that game away. Let's win one more. Let's go Blues.
Let's do it.
Just going to add one thing on a light note and funny note. We were talking before we went on the air. when he was Senator John Ashcroft. He did color commentary one time on a high school football game with me, Branden, in the booth, the Jays in Rockhurst in Kansas City at Atkins Stadium. And I think Governor Carnahan, I think I offered him as well. He wasn't a huge football fan, but Carnahan was a very good interview. But I don't think he wanted to do it. But Ashcroft came on and did color with me at the game. What I remember him, he, by the way, was terrific. He did a great job on the game. But he kept saying, we meaning Jefferson City. And that was the article, by the way, in the Kansas City Star. The next day, he was referring to the...
Who won the game?
It was the Jays.
There you go.
Exactly. The Jays in Rockhurst. But he had a blast. But tell him happy birthday, and it's always good to see him.
I will. Thank you very much.
Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, as always, thanks for your time, and thank you, staff, Joe, Don, and Madison, and the work behind the scenes to make people accessible. That doesn't always happen in the political world, and I believe it's important, and not just to be on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle, but I get mad at some of these people who, for one reason or another, refuse to make themselves available. And there's a whole bunch of our local contingent of lawmakers. Brianna Lennon I will include in there. There's a whole bunch of people that make themselves available. That's important. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm getting news updates here on the phone. We have the latest inflation numbers. We've been expecting those. We'll get those to you about 5 minutes from now. And the other interesting thing, the different takes from different news outlets on what these latest numbers we're getting just minutes ago. That's coming up. Jobs right now, and these are jobs with the future, by the way, because there is plenty of room for advancement. There's a guy there I know at Salter Lawn Service. He works there in the office in Ashland, and he's in a management position now, and it's so cool. Also, he has a 401k plan. They'll offer you a 401k too. They'll start you at up to $20 an hour. Small local company. Man, this is a golden opportunity. Work your way up. You can start up to $20 an hour, a 401k, and a signing bonus. A signing bonus that's only after 30 days. Some of these places you get a signing bonus. After you've been here for 18 months, we'll give you a $100 signing bonus. That's not how they do it at Salter. You get on with Salter 30 days, you're getting a signing bonus. Do yourself a favor. Maybe somebody you know is looking for work. Call Salter Lawn Service. Salter, one call does it all.
Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the producer. 93.9 The Eagle.
Horrifying. Horrifying.
Stunning.
Stephanie and I are out of words to describe what's happening to
As a talk show, running out of words is never a good thing.
Stunning.
I just don't know.
Horrifying.
I cannot think of any other adjectives. Number one, Joe Biden's speech yesterday. It's MAGA Republicans' fault that the economy is in the toilet. It's our fault that since January 20th of 2021, gas prices have gone up, refusing to take any credit. And I just don't know any other words to use anymore.
Stunning.
Horrifying.
And now we have inflation numbers. Again, perspective before we move forward here on Wake Up Columbia. Hannah, the producer, has never experienced this in her lifetime. I don't think Stephanie Bell, what is happening right now, Stephanie Bell has never experienced this, okay? And that's something I think when, we talk to, when you talk to your kids tonight, I don't know, 12, whatever you think not that you're going to get into a deep policy discussion and why we're screwed since January 20th of 2021, but an easy explainer is, see, here's what's happening. People that you know and love, like Stephanie and Hannah and anybody else that's around.
I think you're calling me old. Like, even Stephanie Bell has not experienced this in her lifetime. Oh, my goodness. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm going to be devastated if we get to the 50-year inflation numbers, but then we can say even Branden has not experienced this in his lifetime.
So a couple of headlines on the numbers, and Steph's going to break it down a little bit for us. Associated Press, U.S. inflation slowed slightly last month. New York Times, inflation moderated slightly. USA, right?
It went from sucky to slightly less sucky.
And from a millennial or whatever generation you're from, that's probably a better way to put it. It went from crap to less crappier.
It's a blank show.
And then there's this take, CNN, U.S. inflation took a breather.
Last
month. That's like saying, you know what? I've got my neck on somebody's. I've got my boot on somebody's throat in the river, and I'm holding them down. And to quote CNN, I let them take a breather by just letting them up for a second. Ha! Psych! I'm pushed. That's what CNN's headline is. Maybe this headline, confirmation bias. I admit, Fox News, inflation higher than expected, and that is a fact. You talk to the analyst, you hear people like Randy Tobler talk about it on the Randy Tobler Show weekday afternoons at 4 o'clock. Analysts were hoping, yeah, it's going to be good. The analysts, they got it wrong. So here's some numbers.
So we are at 8.3% in April, which is a breather from the 8.5.
Yay!
That we got in March. So 0.2% breather. But 8.3 is still inflation hovering near a 40-year high.
It's a breather.
I don't feel much of a breather. When you were saying stunning and horrifying, I didn't know that you were going to refer to Joe Biden. I thought you were referring to my bank account.
Man.
It's like a breather, but you're breathing in nasty fumes of something. Like, you're getting air, but it's not the highest quality air.
Wow. By the way, coming up.
How do you transition out of that?
Well, because I'm kind of being for real, and I'm not trying to be funny. We're going to talk about mental health. Mental health awareness, seriously.
Good.
Ken Scobie, Center Point. He's here at 8:50. Of course, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you'll look at what's happening. Here, you look at what's happening, and unless we talk about these things on a nationwide basis, but you look out if you're driving, let's say you're driving on Highway 54 right now, or you're at Providence and Grindstone. Everybody you're looking around you see in traffic, they're affected by what is happening right now. We're affected by this. So we're going to talk mental health. If you feel down, we feel you, man.
Yeah, I mean, divorce, mental health issues. I mean, financial burden is one of the main contributors to that. It's scary, and the numbers are up. Suicide numbers are up.
That's coming up about an hour from now here on 93.9 The Eagle.
We keep paying more and more. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Inflation still near a 40-year high.
Inflation moderated only slightly in the year ending in April, and not as much as forecast. The Consumer Price Index rose 0.3% in 1 month, up 8.3% for the year ending in April.
Fox's Ginny Casola. The worse-than-expected report sent rising stock futures into reverse, now down before today's trading. Senate Democrats plan a vote today to try to make abortion legal nationwide after the late draft Supreme Court opinion showing conservative justices ready to overturn the Roe v. Wade ruling.
A giant step backwards in the rights of women and the rights of Americans.
But Majority Leader Chuck Schumer does not have Republican support to pass that bill. As GOP lawmakers condemn pro-choice activists protesting outside justices' homes, Congressman Darrell Issa tells Fox Business.
They're calling it peaceful protests, but the fact is we have a law against intimidating judges and justices, and it's on the books for a good reason.
A win and a loss for former President Trump. A Republican he backed for governor in Nebraska, Charles Herbster, lost the primary for governor to Jim Pillen, but in West Virginia,
4-term Congressman Alex Mooney defeated 6-term Congressman David McKinley in the 2nd District GOP primary. Former President Trump endorsed Mooney over McKinley, who voted in support of President Biden's infrastructure bill last year.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Speaking of the former president, Elon Musk, who's buying Twitter, says he'd let Donald Trump back on, though Trump has said he won't return. Musk tells the Financial Times event banning him was not correct.
It alienated a large part of the country and did not ultimately result in Donald Trump not having a voice.
Critics on the left fear Musk's Twitter takeover could lead to more hate speech and misinformation. A nightmare on the way to school for kids in Charlotte, North Carolina. A bus crashed into a dump truck, 15 students injured. In Alaska, a U.S. soldier was killed by a bear attacked during training near Anchorage. America's listening to Fox News.
You know, every 3 seconds there is a new victim of identity theft. A criminal could be applying for loans in your name, selling your personal information on the dark web. Now, protecting your identity can be very easy thanks to LifeLock by Norton. No one company can prevent all identity theft or monitor every transaction of every business, but LifeLock, it's simple and easy to protect yourself, and you'll save up to 25% off your first year when you go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock. Just use the promo code Hannity.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Rising home values mean that you could have more home equity than you might imagine. And if you're considering a refi, an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot could save you thousands. Ask about their smart term loans, cash out, and over 300 loan options to find just the right mortgage loan for you. Call now, 866-888-LOAN, or go to loandepot.com. Loan Depot, where home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03. We are expecting another warm day today in mid-Missouri. We're expecting a potential record high today into the 90s. Good morning, everyone. And here are some of the stories we are working on for you in this 8 o'clock hour. State health officials saying this morning that the shortage of infant formula is causing anxiety for parents and caregivers.
State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Paula Nicholson says the formula shortage began as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Nicholson, who lives in Fulton, recommends feeding your baby over 6 months old more baby food and less formula. DHSS also recommends that you call your pediatrician if you run low and ask them for guidance. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, Don, thank you. Meantime, Columbia police are searching for the suspect or suspects who shot someone overnight in the 500 block of Clinkscales. ABC 17's Ben Fine is quoting CPD officers as telling him the victim who was shot has been released from a hospital. State health officials are urging Missourians, as we mentioned there, to avoid hoarding infant formula. We'll hear from Congresswoman Vicki Hartzler a little bit later today on her newscast about what she had to say about that issue. In other news, at this hour, a Southwest Missouri congressman who is seeking the Republican Senate nomination says he is appalled this morning that a debate hasn't been scheduled. He made his comments on 93.9 The Eagle's Wake Up Columbia. Congressman Billy Long of Springfield says Missouri's GOP Senate primary is one of the nation's highest profile races.
Vicki just sure doesn't want me bringing up the fact that she's tied with Liz Cheney, dead even in 3 categories, including Freedom Works, where I'm 100%, and her and Liz Cheney are 60%.
Liz Cheney is a congresswoman on the Republican side from the state of Wyoming. 21 Republicans are listed on the August GOP primary ballot. Senator Roy Blunt is not seeking re-election this fall. Speaking of Missouri, senior senator, he and Mitch McConnell gave a press briefing to Capitol reporters in Washington yesterday. The main topic was the issue of Ukraine. Senator Roy Blunt says the number one element to Ukraine aid is the issue of speed.
The Ukrainians need what they need as quickly as we can get them what they need.
He's also warning about the importance of providing non-military aid, including food to Ukraine, to alleviate disruptions in farm production caused by the Russian invasion. New Sorrells Overpass Bridge west of Columbia has opened. The Missouri Department of Transportation says it opened Tuesday morning. That bridge, the old one, was struck by a truck in mid-October. Mizzou says it will plant legacy oaks on the Francis Quadrangle that will replace 15 pin oak trees they say are now a potential safety hazard for pedestrians and buildings. And there are now 3 days left in the Missouri General Assembly's legislative session. Mandatory adjournment is coming up on Friday evening at 6 o'clock in Jefferson City. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft joined us live at 7:30 right after the news for an interview. He is optimistic that the legislature will approve photo ID. So what is the status of photo ID? The House had passed essentially a clean version of photo ID earlier. They sent it over to the Senate. The Senate approved a similar bill, but there is another provision in there. It bans some of those drop boxes, if you will. Some other provisions are in there as well. So that bill will go back over to the House. The House has to pass it for it to take effect, but they would have to pass the Senate version. That has not happened as of yet. We'll keep you posted. The House will go into session a little bit later this morning. Our news is brought to you in this 8 o'clock hour by the folks at AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. AirServe.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 8:06. In sports, the Baltimore Orioles beat the Cardinals last night at Busch Stadium by a score of 5-3. Cedric Mullins hit a home run in the game. Game 2 of the series tonight at Busch. 6:45 will be the first pitch right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Rangers beat the Royals last night in Arlington 6-4. Corey Seager hit a home run in the ball game. Game 2 of that series tonight, 7:05 Globe Life Field. And the Blues now lead the Wild in their best-of-7 series. They won last night. The Blues did 5-2, so they're up in the series 3-2, with the series heading back to St. Louis. Binnington had 30 saves in the game. So tomorrow night's game will be at the Enterprise Center. 8:30 will be the face-off there, and the puck will drop at the Enterprise Center if the Blues win. They clinch a series. If they lose, it'll be a Game 7, but the Game 7 would be in St. Paul. Our sports is also brought to you this hour by Air Serve Heating and Air Conditioning. Our news time, 8:08. All right, John, thank you. Great work this morning on television with Molly. We appreciate your work with us as well. It's a hot one already at 8:08. Sunshine, 77. Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job, post your job opening today. Our roads have been pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. Again, a reminder, the new Sorrells Overpass Bridge west of Columbia has opened. That opened yesterday. That was significant damage to the old bridge. You'll recall a truck hit it, a dump truck, but it was heading to Boonville, hit that back in October, causing significant damage. MoDOT had to demolish it. That bridge was built in 1958, so it is a new one right now, and that has opened up as of yesterday. More team coverage at the bottom of the hour and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Why do you believe so many Americans believe that your administration is not doing enough to combat inflation? And do you believe that you and your administration bear some measure of responsibility for the inflation that we're seeing across the country?
First is we're in power. That's the first thing. And you justifiably right, we control all 3 branches of the government.
I don't know what's more alarming. The guy that people voted to be president of the United States thinks that Democrats control all 3 branches of government, or that he uses the words power and control.
I am constantly on a roller coaster of amusement and embarrassment when it comes to President Biden.
The world is watching. Listen, that was one of the reasons people say, oh, gas prices, it's not Joe's fault. All day long, I'll draw you the line from point A to point B. The world is watching. Stephanie and I have been on this since January 20th of 2021. We said, listen, the world is watching. Within weeks of Joe getting in office, China laughed in our faces, okay? NATO has said on record, we think one of the reasons Putin invaded Ukraine when he did because he saw the sloppy pull out what Joe did in Afghanistan. That's why. So we'll move forward from that. That's disinformation. You have the president of the United States saying, we control all 3 branches of government. One of the other things he said yesterday, and he keeps talking about how the deficit is going down, and it's not. I heard something the other day. Figures never lie, but liars figure. I'd never heard that before. Figures don't lie, but liars figure.
Disagree.
Okay. How so?
I had a class in in college, and one of the books we read was How to Lie with Statistics.
Wow. Right, exactly. That's what it's saying.
I don't think so. Figures never lie. You can use figures to lie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Anyhow, And so we need to run one of the statements he said, and he's finding just specific stuff to do that. And I'm thinking, the Alejandro Mayorkas, the guy who's in charge of keeping our country safe, is hiring the governance board of disinformation, which is hopefully Russian. We're going to determine what is true and what is false. We will decide that. That is up to us. And the person in charge of it has spread some incredible disinformation herself.
You're kidding.
No. It's just, it's crazy. By the way, good news. We're going to be talking mental health with the folks from Centerpoint. Ken Scobie's going to be joining us about 8:50 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Before we move forward, if you're watching on YouTube, by the way, I want to remind you, we have, in case you're having some issues with the app, you're not the only one. There's some things. We're working the bugs out. It's technology. But I think it's a good reminder. Make sure you have the YouTube channel. Make sure you know about our YouTube channel, 93.9 The Eagle, because that's another backup source. If the app, for some reason, is out, you got another source to catch Wake Up Columbia.
Yeah, and we appreciate Wake Up Columbia family members like Patty. She said she couldn't get her app to work, so she came over to Facebook and watched us on Facebook Live.
Oh, very cool. So CNN, by the way, CNN did a fact check on Joe Biden's.
That's ironic.
Right, using figures to lie. CNN did a fact check on that. CNN and said, no, Joe he's simply wrong. Want to mention, we got to give some big kudos to Mr. Brian Hauswirth. If we can give it up for him this morning. We did an office, I hate to say just an office, but a company-wide Zimmer Award show. Oh my gosh, the number of people that were there that saw Brian Hauswirth pick up several pieces of hardware for breaking news coverage on a story that got national headlines.
Yeah, I covered, thank you so much, Brandon, and thanks to everybody. And it was a wonderful event last night. Very grateful and honored. They're all three of those awards were wonderful. One was severe weather, and one was the governor's prayer breakfast. The Lindley Rennick may have been the hardest one. First of all, it was horrific, the stuff I had to just look at, and I mean, horrible crime scene photos. It was a difficult legal story to explain as well, because basically she pointed the finger at Humphrey pointed the finger at her, and we kept having to go back and forth. I mean, it was very heated at times in court, but we did win for breaking news about the verdict when the verdict came down. But I was in the courtroom every day for her trial, and she ended up getting 16 years, really 13, but there was 3 years free.
And when you say we won, you mean you and your three other awards won that award. That's who you mean when you say we. So we want to give
kudos. It's a great day. Thank you, my friend.
And there's some really good pictures on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. I got to say, man, the four of us together, we look good. We really do.
Absolutely. It looked really good. It looked really good. It's just, I wish we had a little more of a flashbulb with the lighting in there, but it was a great event. It was great. Thank you.
I had said this, it was Stephanie's cell phone that took the picture. It's great, but I've got a cell phone that's 5 years old, and if you're counting in doggy years, that's 35 years old.
Yeah.
That's how old my technology is.
Brandon tried to send me a picture one time of was it an eclipse or something? And it basically just looked like a dot on the screen. And I was like, dude, you need to upgrade your camera.
Yeah, I do. And hopefully next time I get a camera, I'm going to get one that's got a good cell phone attached to it.
There you go.
Too. That's my goal. Hey, no trick question here. What do you think would be some of the leading causes of death in America?
Heart disease, maybe?
Yeah, heart disease, cancer.
That's what I would guess. Well, again, we go back to our minister of truth. Oh. You guys would both be spreading disinformation, as would I. I don't know, heart disease, cancer, things like that, according to the FBI.
According to the FBI?
Yeah, what the heck?
Well, they had to fact check what Mayorkas' gal was saying, and they had to fact check what the FDA commissioner had to say. Leading cause of death?
I've been telling Congress that misinformation is the leading cause of death now.
Oh, no.
Misinformation. Leading cause of death. My goodness. Glad you could be here. 874-9390. 874-9390. It's interesting. I'm big on messaging. Jay Ashcroft and I, Secretary of State, were talking about this a little bit earlier this morning. I really am big on we got to market message to younger people to turn them on to what a conservative is, an independent thinker is. Because it's important for future elections. Listen, people like my dad, baby boomer generation. My dad's 72 years old. Heck, I'm 51. I've probably got another good 10, 15 years left in me, if I'm lucky. Hopefully longer than that, but maybe not. I'm not going to be voting forever. And there's going to be people, Hannah is in effect, because she's such and what generation are you considered?
Gen Z.
Gen Z. And you are?
Millennial. Elder millennial.
Elder millennial. And I'm Gen X. And even for somebody like me, we got to be thinking about this messaging. So to do that, we need to look at some of these other behaviors of folks that are like Gen Z and some of the things they're doing. And as long as it doesn't involve social media, I'm on board.
Yeah, so they have $150 billion in spending power, so brands are kind of waking up and saying, what are these guys up to? Interestingly enough, they shop a lot on Amazon, which we kind of knew. Millennials shop on Amazon. But the second one, so 53% of them say they shop on Amazon. Second one, Shein, which is kind of like a cheapy clothes. You can get clothing and swimwear. And
it's like super cheap clothes.
Is it used clothing?
No.
It's just like a fast fashion brand.
But interestingly, you say that because they do buy secondhand clothes, apparently, more than typical. So in 2020, 42% of them were saying that they use like ThredUp or resale markets, which I would say that's way higher than millennials. So they're outpacing us in secondhand clothing. And maybe that's a reflection of the economy, right? Because you can't afford, new items. So you're buying secondhand to save some money. In the same way, they're using that. Is it virtual layaway? It's called, have you heard of this, Hannah? Buy now, pay later? Like where there's all those services when you get online, say something's $100, they say, well, you can pay this in installments rather than paying it all.
I use a service like that called Afterpay.
I've never used that. I just figure like if I don't have $100 today, I'm probably not going to have it, a little. Isn't that like what layaway, like you used to have to, if you couldn't afford it in the store, you went like to the back, I never did this, but you put it like at the counter and then you paid over a period of time and then you got to pick it up later.
And that's a good point, because I don't know, the thing about layaway, and you said that, you had to go to the back of the store. The whole process of putting stuff in layaway back in the day. And I don't know, can you even do that inside of a store anymore? But
I don't know. But with the Gen Z, you get it first. So you get the item and then you have to pay. I wonder
and
how
it
much.
is beautiful.
I wonder how much money, though. You think about how much money is out there that people have the item and they still owe. Like, that's a lot of credit out there. And is there a limit to how much you can do that with?
Yeah, so the app that I use, it's kind of like the more that you use it, the more your limit goes up, I guess. I've never used it for large purchases, but it is kind of nice. Like if I need, jeans for work or whatever, and I'm, maybe don't have enough money to get the jeans I need, I can kind of spread the cost out a little bit.
Well, and so what the survey, it was eMarketer, said in 2018, only 1.7% of Gen Z shoppers were using this buy now, pay later. In 2022, they're saying that it's 44%, and they're suggesting by 2025, it'll be almost 50% of people are using that.
Great text from Jack Beard off the text 874-9390. And funny how millennials insist on saying older millennial, even they don't want to be a millennial. Because you did catch, I'd never heard an elder millennial. I'd never heard that phrase. Yeah.
It's weird because a lot of millennials didn't have, so I still know what it's like to not have a cell phone and not have social media, all of that. So in high school, I got a cell phone. But a lot of millennials never grew up without social media. I was I am at the very edge of millennials. So I didn't get social media till I was my last year in college. And that was Facebook when Facebook was basically like a phone book.
All right. 874-9390. What's up, John?
Well, good morning. I was listening there, and I was a little confused by, I guess, the Gen Z, whatever the heck it was, but the young one. And I'm in the 64-year-old group. I still look at credibility as being the best way, not an afterpay. So to me, it's almost like, well, maybe they're circumventing the credibility that they need. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like.
Credibility or credit?
Either one. Either one.
Touche. John, thank you for the phone call.
And that buy now, pay later, as I think about it, I wonder, how does that affect like our small businesses? Because if I'm a small business just here in Columbia, Missouri, I'm probably not going to let you pay in 4 installments, because you know what, that doesn't put food on my table. Like, I need that. Like, if you're taking a product out of my store, I want the money now. And so, how does that interplay? We have seen much more shopping go online, and it's hurting our small businesses. But when you think about your community, the thing that really makes it special is your small businesses. I wonder if small businesses are going to start feeling the pressure to allow you to do credit. And that brings you back to like the olden days. Did you ever have, like, we had a grocery store and a convenience store charge account?
Yes.
When you were like, when I was growing up, and I could just go and sign a paper, and then my parents like got a bill at the end of the month. Maybe we'll go back to that. I don't know.
I just got an email from Afterpay. They're listening.
How much do you owe, Hannah?
I don't owe anything right now, but
hey,
I
look
just
at you.
looked, and I am pre-approved to spend $1,000.
That's there's some insight into people that are going to be deciding our futures when they vote.
I can't wait.
I hope that helps. Coming up, more.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's a jackass.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Morning, 8:28, time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. By the way, latest inflation numbers. Fox is 2 minutes away from those. Spoiler alert, they're not good. But here's something different.
Or not different. Stephanie fangirling over Elon Musk, who said he would reverse Donald Trump's Twitter ban. Really interesting. He was at the Financial Times Future of the Car Summit and made these comments. He said he didn't think it was correct to ban Donald Trump. But interestingly, because everyone thinks like once he gets control of Twitter, it's just going to be a free-for-all. But he did say if there are tweets that are wrong and bad, those should either be deleted or made invisible. And a suspension, a temporary suspension, is appropriate, but not a permanent ban. So I think Musk's view on Twitter is a little bit more nuanced than other people, because I think people just think like it's going to be open, you're going to be able to say whatever you want. But Musk is admitting, hey, there are times when things should either be deleted or you should be suspended. I thought that was an interesting tidbit that's not making the headlines.
Rarity happened last night at Busch Stadium. I want to thank Bobby for pointing that out via text, 874-9390. We'll have that, and then maybe looking at more of how these younger voters are living their lives today. We'll do that for you at 8:35.
That check of weather brought to you by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning. Check them out online at airserve.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The latest update on inflation shows it eased slightly in April, but not by as much as expected. The Consumer Price Index.
Month over month, a jump of 0.3%, hotter than expected. Year over year, 8.3%. That is hotter than expected. The 8.1% was the expectation. Core year over year, that strips out food and energy, that's 6.2%. The expectation, 6%.
Cheryl Casoni with the Fox Business Network. This is the first time inflation slowed after 7 months of gains. And celebrity chef Mario Batali is acquitted.
I'm going to find the defendant not guilty to the charge of indecent assault and battery.
Judge James Stanton finding the accuser has significant credibility issues. Batali still faces a civil lawsuit from the accuser. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. It is 8:31. We do have bright sunshine. It's going to be a warm day. 78 is our current temperature, on our way to what could be a record high in the low 90s today. 78 right now. Good morning. I'm Brian Hauswirth. State health officials say the shortage of infant formula is causing anxiety for parents and caregivers alike. State Department of Health and Senior Services Director Paula Nicholson of Fulton says the shortage started with the COVID pandemic. It's now being impacted by recalls. She is urging you to not hoard formula and to search for it as well at multiple stores in your area. By the way, if you do know where people can find some of the baby formula, infant formula, if you will, definitely let us know. You can give us a text on our text line because people are interested in that. A lot of the shelves right now apparently are barren. They encourage you to call ahead, find out when the next truck is arriving at your local store. Columbia police have cleared the scene of an overnight shooting, 500 block of Clinkscales. ABC 17's Ben Fine on scene all night. He quotes CPD officers as telling him the victim who was shot has been released from a hospital. No arrests have been made. Missouri senior senator emphasizing the importance this morning of providing non-military aid to Ukraine to alleviate disruptions in farm production caused by the Russian invasion. Senator Roy Blunt.
So we can prevent the kind of chaos that's going to occur if we don't begin to help Ukraine get its food out of the country, get its food planted for this year.
In Boone County, firefighters say a Sturgeon man was killed in a Tuesday lawnmower crash. The victim was an elderly man. His name has not been released as of yet. Our news is brought to you this hour by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, airserve.com. It's 8:33. In sports, we'll start this hour with the Baltimore Orioles. They beat the St. Louis Cardinals last night at Busch Stadium 5-3. Outfielder Cedric Mullins hit a home run in the game for Baltimore. Game 2 in the series tonight at Busch Stadium. 6:45 will be the first pitch. 93-9 the Eagle. Miles Michaelis on the mound tonight for the Cardinals. Texas Rangers beat the Royals last night 6-4 in Arlington. Rangers shortstop Corey Seager hit a home run, 2 RBIs in the game. Game 2 of the series is tonight, 7:05. That'll be at Globe Life Field in Arlington. Blues beat the Wild last night, Game 5 of their best-of-7 series, 5-2. The final in St. Paul. St. Louis now up in the series, 3-2. Jordan Bennington, 30 saves in the game. The Blues can clinch the series tomorrow night, Game 6 at the Enterprise Center. The puck will drop at 8:30. So Game 6, the Blues can clinch it. That'll be in St. Louis. If the Blues lose, there will be a Game 7. The Game 7 would be in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our sports is brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction here in Columbia. Hemi Construction. Our news time is 8:34. And our traffic check presented by MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Our roads right now pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. If you'd like to report a traffic issue, you can give us a call or a text. We always appreciate the information. Our number is 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The radio station, 93.9 The Eagle. The show, Wake Up Columbia, with Branden Rathert, Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, and Hannah the producer, giving you news, analysis, and opinion.
And Bader hits it out to deep left center. It's at the wall, and it's off the wall. It scoots away. Bader racing to second. Bader racing to third. He's going to score inside the park home run.
How about Harrison Bader? Inside the park home run. Busch Stadium last night. It's not something you see every day. Also, there was a no-hitter in the majors last night. I think it was a rookie for the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles, or however it is that they call themselves.
You know, an inside the park home run, Brandon, and it's rare. You just don't see it very often. I remember, and you'll probably remember it as well, Tim Raines, probably it would have been the early 80s, played for the Montreal Expos, tremendous speed. He hit a ball into basically kind of shallow center field. Willie McGee, great center fielder, great fielder, but the ball got underneath, and then he was trying to scoop it, and it got past him, went all the way to the wall, and Raines ended up scoring on an inside the park home run.
And here's something you don't hear all the time. Listen, we're all human. We all make mistakes. And you know who my worst critic is when I make a mistake? Do you know who my biggest critic is? Yeah. Hannah, who's your biggest critic when you make a mistake?
Myself.
Yep. Stephanie?
100%. It's me.
Yeah. We're hard on ourselves, but you know what? We're human beings. We make mistakes.
Sure.
But if we can learn from it, I think is always a big deal. But sometimes, you know what? You get lost in the moment. Chicago White Sox and the Cleveland Indians are the Guardians. This happened on their radio play-by-play yesterday.
There's a ball hit toward right field. Sheets coming in. Drops the ball! The Guardians will score first as Quan comes home. Into second base is Owen Miller. Just simply botched it.
So the guy, it was relatively a simple fly ball, and the play-by, and I get it because this guy, I think, despite the fact he let the S word slip, did that guy just drop that ball? Are you kidding me? He is so comfortable with what he's doing that sometimes he forgets his place.
Sure.
You know, because you're in that. Let me ask you, we learned something really new about Brian Hauswirth this morning. I didn't know this. Took home a bunch of hardware last night. Zimmer Radio Group awards show last night. Took home all kinds of awards. Great pictures.
Congrats to your award as well.
If you go to our Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, great pictures. Got to say, we look good. Hannah, you fact-checked that statement. What did you find?
We look okay.
She ran it through the information site. I was accurate in that statement. But we learned something new. We had Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft talking about voting rights legislation. That's listen, we've got 3 days left in this legislative session, outside of a special session. And Jay Ashcroft, we were talking about his father, John Ashcroft, legendary career in politics,
huge,
and
a U.S. Attorney General.
Yeah, and you did play-by-play with him one time.
Did a game. It was back in, I tell you, it would have been back in October of 2000. It was the Jays versus Kansas City Rockhurst. I've got it on a cassette somewhere at home, literally a cassette, maybe two of them. And the Jays and Rockhurst, and I believe it was an overtime game, 34-31. I'm going from memory, and the Jays won the game. Jamie Reed, I believe, had the game-winning touchdown. It was amazing. They had a guy, Rockhurst had a running back who was going to go to Oklahoma that was amazing. But at that point, he was Senator John Ashcroft, and he was in the booth. He did color. Did a great job. He was really good on air and enjoyed it. And I know I have a picture of that somewhere at home. I'll tell you, well, the other thing very quickly, who also was fantastic as far as sports, former Governor Nixon. Now, I didn't have him on as governor, but when he's Attorney General, he used to come up with me at halftime a lot of Jay's basketball games. He was fantastic on basketball. So Jay Nixon, basketball, John Jay Ashcroft, if you will, football, both did a really nice job on various segments with me.
What year was that Jay's football game?
2000.
I would have been in high school at that point. I probably was at that game playing in the marching band.
Yeah,
I was born that year.
Thank you for that, Hannah.
You're welcome.
It was a you were probably there. I know
playing in the marching band, of course.
The sideline reporter was a guy named Warren Kretsch. Used to work here at Zimmer. Warren's still in Jeff City. And the cheerleaders in the band the couple weeks before sang "Happy Birthday" to me on the microphone. So it was a big event, great game, and Tony Severino was the coach. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I think my very first job in radio, they said, "Hey, do you want to do play-by-play and color commentary?" And I was like, whatever. And I ended up in my career, I used to do color commentating for a minor league hockey on TV in Pensacola, Florida.
That's awesome.
And I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I know hockey. I can watch hockey and enjoy it, but I remember I was doing, and the sport that I know the least about is basketball. I have no interest in watching basketball unless it's Mizzou women's basketball. That's because Brad Trinago, former Wake Up Columbia fan, always a Wake Up Columbia fan.
Absolutely.
Remember, got me turned on to women's basketball, different style of basketball. But they wanted me to do color for high school basketball. I know nothing about basketball. And so
he put it in the hoop.
Points. That's all points. He scored. Look, he's dribbling.
Basketball is like my favorite sport. I love basketball.
Really?
Yes.
And so I would come up with these questions, and I would talk to the coaches before the game, because in the game it would give me something to talk about.
Sure.
Because I didn't know what I was talking about. And I would have these questions. Again, I was 20, 21 years old. And, Coach, what's your big goal today? What do you need to do? And one of the other people at the radio station got a hold of the questions. They said, because I'd left it in there. Well, Branden, the goal is to score more points than the other team. I was like, yeah, good point. So 2000, you would have been at the game that Hauswirth worked with John Ashcroft. And that's interesting because we've been
Atkins Stadium, Jeff City.
Atkins Stadium, Jeff City, because I'm wondering, as a millennial, or as Stephanie lovingly refers to herself,
an elder millennial.
We're looking at, I think this matters because personally, I'm big on messaging to a newer, younger generation of voters. Hey, vote, but here's what it means when you're a conservative. Here's what it means, by the way, and I don't mean necessarily Republican. I mean you think for yourself and you come up with decisions. You don't have to fall on a party line. You don't. You don't. You can think for yourself is my take on it. But I have a set of values and beliefs that probably 108% of the time align, with a certain party. So I think it's important. So if we're saying we're going to message to younger people, whether it's a millennial or
Gen Z,
or an old dude like you, Brian. What are you?
I'm not even sure what I am. I really.
Gen X, probably,
Gen X.
right?
Is it Gen X? Okay,
Gen
yeah.
X.
Gen X, okay.
But let's look at what some of these Gen Zers are doing nowadays. The millennials, the elder millennials.
They're buying stuff on Amazon and a website called Shein, which I don't think I've actually. Hannah, have you ever ordered anything off Shein? I don't think I have.
I have not, no.
Oh, Hannah often bucks the Gen Z trends. But
because I'm an old lady at heart, Steph.
That's true. That's true. I think, but this one we didn't talk about already, the TikTok. This is wild. Wild. If you're an employer,
TikTok.
the TikTok. I am scared to death. If you're an employer, the amount of time people are spending on TikTok. They said, how many hours a day are you spending on TikTok? Only 9% of them said less than 30 minutes. That means 91. I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm the lawyer, not a mathematician. 91% of people are spending more than 30 minutes on TikTok a day. More than 30 minutes. 20% say they spend 5+ hours on TikTok a day.
Listen,
20%. I'm not spending 5+ hours on TikTok.
I don't think I spend that much time on TikTok either. However,
What's your screen time report say, Hannah?
I don't want to talk about it. However, TikTok is one of those things that you just get sucked into.
You do.
And time passes around you and you have no idea.
Be careful on Facebook. I'm getting this from a lot of... Has anybody else gotten this on Facebook? A message from somebody maybe? And it's, look who died. It's a scam.
No, I did not get that.
Yeah, I'm seeing it from everybody. And here's the thing is that, and if you're watching on our YouTube channel, which you can always do, and by the way, we've had issues with the app. We're aware of that, working on it, but this is a good time to remind you that you can watch the show. Go to our YouTube channel and you can watch. Just go 93.9 The Eagle. You can watch the show. You pull it up at work. You pull it up on your smart TV. It's cool. You get some really good behind-the-scenes stuff, too. It's pretty interesting. But so if you were watching, you would have seen these younger people that were trying to say, hey, you ought to consider voting conservative or think about some conservative values. As a 51-year-old dude, I'm sitting here and in my mind, I'm going, oh, God, these two girls are yakking about TikTok, blah, blah, blah. Seriously, that's what was going on in my head. But it's important because
it is.
I can talk about it, but unless I get onto TikTok and start posting the videos in there or whatever it is that you do, I'm potentially missing out on an opportunity to market to different people, to younger voters.
True.
Hannah, make it so. Get me a TikToker channel so I can start posting the videos.
I don't know if I can handle that.
Coming up. So listen, inflation numbers are out. Hannah and Stephanie never experienced this in their lives. The numbers still not good. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. Coming up, we're going to be chatting with Mr. Scobie, Ken Scobie with Centerpoint Hospital. Some things, ways perhaps that you can talk about mental health issues with the folks you love. It's coming up about 5 minutes from now on
Wake Up Columbia with an eye on the world and a focus on you. 93.9 The Eagle.
What a steaming pile of poo we're listening to.
Thank you. That's my good friend, Gary Nolan. He's coming up just minutes from now here on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. I'm Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer, is here. We were talking about the app. And so it's going through a kind of a makeover, I guess. We're putting some makeup on it. And
a glow up.
Some extensions and all that good stuff. So you might need to uninstall, reinstall. And if you're an old white dude who's 51 years old like me, you can get a millennial to do it for you, maybe, or a Gen Zer. Steve, via text, I uninstalled the app and then reinstalled it. Now it's working. Good reminder, too, you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can also listen live online at 939theeagle.com. And when you're on our website, by the way, 939theeagle.com, two different things on there that you want to check out. Right now, I want to welcome in Ken Scobie. He is with Center Point Hospital, friend of the show, and somebody that I personally admire because he's been open, as have I, about issues relating to mental health over the years, and he shares that, and that's what, in my mind, helps people the most. May is Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. Right now, is somebody who's uniquely connected to this, Ken. What would be some advice that you'd give to somebody struggling with their mental health?
Well, hey, Branden. Hey, y'all. First of all, happy Wednesday, and thanks for allowing us into the pile. And appreciate always the opportunity to come on with y'all. Yes, this month, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's been celebrated, I guess, or celebrate might be an overstatement, been recognized since 1949. Opportunity to put spotlight on an important issue, and that would be taking care of our mental wellness and our own mental health. And I appreciate this opportunity to discuss, valuable resources and where folks can get some mental health support. And, where we want to start is, somebody's having some issues, kind of take a look at themselves and, what's different here? How am I feeling? Kind of how am I feeling about life today and how I've been feeling for a while? Am I in a rut? And also I found sometimes people asking, are you okay? But not just saying, hey, how you doing, but repeatedly asking you. You think, well, maybe there's something going on. Is there changes in your sleep? You sleeping too much, not enough? And thoughts concentrating, just feeling kind of checked out. Beautiful days like this, the greenness around us, just not recognizing us, and changes in appetite. And
here's the thing that I always experience. I talk to other people that deal with this. One of my big things, my head would spin at night. And I don't mean physically spin like I smoked some bad weed. I mean, I could not shut my brain off from thinking. And people say, well, that can be, you're dealing with a lot of stuff. What kind of different types of programs do you have at Center Point for folks that are dealing with this kind of stuff?
Okay, we have a wide variety and quite a care of continuum from inpatient to outpatient. Starting on the inpatient side, we have our Stepping Stones program, which is a behavioral health treatment programs for folks from ages of 8 to 17. Then we have our adult programs, of course, starting at age 18, going on up there to about 65. And 65 and over, we have we call our Silver Linings program, or a senior adult services. And these are all designed to basically stabilize, life stressors, what's kind of going on with people right now. As far as, we talk about here, we may not change things, but we work to help people change the way we look at them. And a lot of folks are feeling that, they're the only ones in their world, having troubles or difficulties. Then they come into the hospital and get to interact with other staff and other folks going through similar things and feel like, hey, those other worlds, people are, they're struggling and dealing with stuff too. And there's just a real importance of, gaining that attachment or that connection to others, which may have they lost prior to coming to the hospital.
All right. Ken Scobie is joining us, Center Point Hospital. May Mental Health Month, something near and dear to a lot of us here on Wake Up Columbia personally. Before we let you go, and listen, there's a lot of things, and we can try to what's in front of me today, what can I fix, what can I not even control, but there's a certain level of acceptance on some things, and we can look at the economy. We can look at a lot of things happening on a national scale and even locally. And here in like the last 30 seconds or so, what are some of the more common issues that you've seen recently?
Okay, well, a number of wide variety issues, but first I want to add in, too, we do have outpatient services here, both on grounds and virtually. I know a lot of people are doing things over the internet. We have those available for people dealing with either mental health or substance abuse issues through our programs. We call it IOP. But as far as some things people are dealing with, a lot of people present with some issues related to anxiety. And then anxiety, of course, can also feed into depression. So we're seeing folks that are highly anxious to the point they can't function anymore. They can't get out of bed. They have, get feeling depressed. It's like, why going on? I'm stuck in a rut. Also, we have some folks here right now that are dealing with substance abuse issues. They would come in for a detox from alcohol, perhaps, and we would help them along their journey.
Ken Scobie, Center Point Hospital. I hate to cut you short. You and I could, we could visit you about
go for hours.
Hours, and it's important stuff. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate what Center Point Hospital does. Have a great day. It's Ken Scobie. Gary Nolan's show is next week. We'll see you back here tomorrow. See you.
Bye.